Okay, today, which is my first stream ever, I'm gonna be playing Everquest, which is an old ass game. It was made in 1999, and there's a group of people, a group of programmers that brought it back. It's called Project 1999. So what we're gonna be playing is Project 1999 in 2020. The reason this is the best MMO ever, there's a couple reasons. I actually don't even think the developers knew what they were creating when they created it. But the reason it's so good is because it's so vast. So right now I've got the main map up. So these are obviously different continents. There's Antonica, which is kind of the main continent. There's Fadewar, which is where a couple races are born, I guess you could say. That's where they live. Otis, and then Kunark and Velius. So right now it's November in 2020, and there is a progression server that is called P1999 Green. It's a green server, and this month Kunark, the expansion, the continent, opened. So that's a big deal because it released a couple new races, which are my favorite. Everybody, they're just good races. But this game is fucking huge. Like, it's so big. There's somewhere I'll show you something. It's just so big. This is obviously not going to make any sense to anybody, but it's just a kind of a representation. Rough representation. Oh my god, there's so many. It's just such a big ass game. Okay, I'm gonna just dive into it. Before I get into it, it's a fantasy game. It's basically the first classic group style fantasy game. So you got your, I'll just bring up the classes. If we go to classes, so you've got your casters. You got the enchanter class, which is actually a lot of fun. It's hard to explain if you never played the game, but enchanters kind of buff up your clerics. They buff up your other casters, and they also have mind control abilities, so they can control other monsters that are fighting you, and it's pretty cool. A lot of that's automatic, but it's pretty badass. Magicians get their own pets that they're called, so they have these they can summon air elementals, earth, fire, water, and they'll follow them around, and they can kind of order them around. Again, this game was made in 1999, so you don't have a million buttons for shit like World of Warcraft, which is cool. It's good and bad. It makes what you're doing more important than what you're pressing, which doesn't really make sense in video games today because it's just basically a button mash and you're waiting for cooldowns to come up, and it's just it's kind of a headache. Anyway, I digress massively. Necromancers are very cool, one of my favorites. Obviously Masters of the Dead, they get their own skeleton pets that they can control. They're pretty good at soloing. Soloing is a good factor later in the game, in fact kind of throughout the whole game, because not very many classes can solo. So necromancers are probably the best soloers. Maybe druids are next, I don't know, debatable. Wizards are kind of neat, not really my favorite. So they kind of specialize in splash damage, so a lot of their nukes take a lot of mana. So I don't know, it just seems like a boring play style, because you kind of just let loose every few minutes, so you're kind of just sitting there waiting for your mana to go up, and then you get to play. It's kind of the wrong mindset or outlook to have, but that's just, I'm not a huge fan of playing wizards. I've never really done it though, to be fair. I'm sure there's a lot more to it. I know they're pretty good at kiting later on too. Okay, so the priests are very cool. So everything about EverQuest is very defined. So every race and every class is very unique. There's a little bit of overlap, that's why they've grouped them into casters, priests, melee, and tanks. But there's just a little bit of overlap. Each class is very unique and has a shit ton of very important spells that, again, this game is so massive that it helps you in so many different places, and the game is so big that it doesn't really matter what class you pick. You're always going to find somewhere to go. You're always going to find someone to group with if you really want to group. It's just a fucking fantastic game. And to be fair, It's pretty damn close to the way it used to be back in the day. The population's probably too big for the one server that we have, but if they split it into two servers, the population's too low. So a bit of a catch 22. I haven't played in a long time, maybe years. However, when the Project 1999 Green server opened, I don't know how many months ago that was, but it was maybe a year ago. um, I did play Shaman to level 16, so I think I might just jump on the Shaman just to save time. So right now the Kunark expansion is out. The level cap is 60. So that's just gonna take a long ass time to get to. It takes long, like literally, like it's gonna take 6 months, 8 months. If you've never played the game before, 10 months to hit the level cap, level 60. It's insane. It's just such a fantastic game. And that's a lot of playing. It's not just like casually playing 10 months. That's like a lot of fucking playing in 10 months. If you're playing casually, it might take you a long time. But it's not, it shouldn't be looked at like that. It's so fun once you get into it. I will admit, some sessions get quite boring because you get tired and you just sometimes you're just getting such good experience, and it does take so long to level that you're almost stuck. You kind of have to just slam a coffee at 1 a.m. and just go till 4 a.m. on the occasion, which is like every weekend. Okay, anyway, totally digressing. It's just such a fantastic game. Jumping into the priest, there's a cleric, which is obviously specialized at healing. They can do a shit ton of healing. Like, it's very, very different from the rest of the healers. They can do a complete heal, which is fantastic. So clerics are very specialized in healing. Druids, same kind of thing. They can heal, but they've got a couple utility spells that are fantastic. Druids are one of the only classes that can port. They can teleport around the world, and in such a big world, that actually is a huge asset. Wizards as well can port, and I should also say that both of these classes can use that porting ability to make decent amount of money if it was your first time, your first character. Maybe not a bad route to go, especially because you don't know where the fuck anything's at. You don't know what dungeons to get loot at and stuff like that. So if I were starting out, I'm not a huge fan of the play style for druids, but I would probably make a druid just because they can track through an entire dungeon. So you just literally go in the entrance and you can see most of the monsters in the dungeon, which means you can see the main bosses in the dungeon if there's any and get good loot. Anyway, I'm just rambling. Shamans are good at slowing. So I think shamans and enchanters are the only classes that can slow monsters. And I think shamans get up to like a 75% slow, which is a fucking massive amount. Later in the game, when monsters basically just one hit casters, or maybe two hit them, that 75% slow is enough time to heal them or enough time to get the situation taken care of. So slow is massive. Not only that, but it's like imperative for rating, etc., etc. That's what shamans are specialized for, is slowing. And shamans have the best heal in the game. It's also the most expensive heal in the game. Basically, if you're a veteran, I think shamans probably have the deepest gear grind. There's just so many things that you can get that really make your class super powerful. Arguably the most powerful, I would say maybe monk is the second most powerful. Debatable. Anyway, melee bards are neat, super fast. They're the fastest running class in the game. They sing songs to do certain things, like all kinds of stuff, make the whole group go invisible, make everybody levitate. They can pull, so a lot of the times you'll get groups of monsters, and if you pull one of the group, the entire group will come. We'll see lots of that. Bards can kind of soothe everybody, so they kind of make everybody happy, and then you can just agitate the one guy, so you just get one, and then your whole posse can just gang wreck the dude. Okay, so then you've got a ranger. Oh wait, monks are dope. They've got a feign death ability. They fake death. I'm just rambling. I'm gonna just blast through these. Monk can feign death. In fact, I'll just play and talk about it. Monk can feign death. They fake death. They're good pullers. Again, they can split a group of monsters. If there's like 5 of them, they can actually single it out, so there's 1 or 2. Phenomenal class. Very, very, very important. Necessary for rating. Rangers are, I hate to say it, but they're kind of the bottom of the barrel, just because every other melee class can pretty much do what a ranger can do to an extent. One thing I do like about Rangers though is later in the game they get Harmony, Druids as well. It's a spell that basically just calms the fuck out of anything. So if there's a dragon that wants to kill your whole guild, you can just get a Ranger or a Druid to cast Harmony on it, and it's far less aggressive and doesn't want to kill anybody. So you can kind of just sneak past that. Anyway, rogues are dope. The highest damage in the game. Obviously you need to go behind your target and backstab. They can sneak and hide, which is super valuable in this game to drag corpses around and save people when they've died and fucked up. Super fun class to play. My brother used to play a rogue and I played a monk when we first started the game, which are two really high DPS classes, so we were just fucking mowing things down. Mind you, if you're first starting, melee's classes can be kind of hard to start because you're broke ass. You don't really have much. You're running around with a rusty dagger, which is part of the fun of this game. Is that you start off like you're in rags and you suck and you'll die a bunch. It's just hard, but then when you get further in the game, you feel godly and it's just so cool. It's such a fun game. It's gonna be a good journey. Okay, so tanks. We got paladins. Paladins are my least favorite tank. They've got a lay on hands ability that they can use every few hours, which basically heals you up to full, if I recall. Paladins are good at pulling aggro. I think that they can make monsters hit them really easy, which is great for a group. Nothing wrong with paladins. I just never really was into it myself. Shadow Knights is really more of my jam because I'm a necromancer fan, and so paladin, going backwards, paladin's a hybrid. It's a warrior and a cleric. So when you have a hybrid in this game, not only do you have a huge experience penalty, but they're just kind of watered down. Which is really accurate. They're just not quite as good as a warrior, not quite as good as a priest, cleric, sorry. Whereas a Shadow Knight, same thing. They're half warrior, half necromancer. So they got a lot of cool spells. Like they can also fake death, like the monk and the necromancer can also fake death. Again, really good for splitting groups of monsters. So you can only pull one of 5. Which again, later on in the game, when the monsters are killing your people in 2 hits, you literally just can't kill 5. Shit gets really hectic, and it's kind of like those pulls because you get to do the fun recovery and flex your skills a little bit. It's such a fun game. I can't wait. Okay, mind you, the beginning's super boring. I'm only level 16 on my shaman. It's gonna take forever to get interesting, but let's see what I can do. Okay, so last one, we've got the warrior. Obviously the warrior is specializing in taking damage. It can take a considerable amount of damage, more than anything else, but they do have a hard time in the game because they have a hard time keeping the monster's attention. So you've got the wizards and the other casters just blasting away at the monster, and every time you hit a monster, anytime you do anything negative or even fucking walk in front of them, really, you build aggro, it's called. So they hate you at an increasing level. So if you shoot them with a really powerful frost slam or something like that, and you take out maybe 20% of their life, they may just turn around and be like, what the fuck was that, and come right at you. So a warrior has a hard time kind of peeling the monsters off of you once you've taken aggro. And the way it kind of works is like a hate list. So everything you do bumps you up that list. So warrior is just trying to build up hate. So the monster's focusing on him, and then suddenly a wizard will just blast and then get more hate. And then suddenly the monster will turn and fight the wizard. It's kind of a stupid analogy on the fly, but let's crack into it. Again, close this. Let's fire up some EQ. I think I already had it open, maybe. Coffee time. Oh, I broke something. Okay, so part of Everquest is it's from 1999. It does have a couple bugs here and there. For example, right now it looks a little bit different on my screen than it does on the stream. See if that fixes. Ooh, baby. Fucking great music. Back in the day, too. This music is pretty cool shit eventually. Once you get loving this game, you wake up to that, you're like, ooh, baby. Alright, so again, the graphics are going to be fucking terrible. You'll get used to it though, I promise. It just happens. Actually, funny story. One of my best friends and his friend didn't they exchanged video games for a weekend. So one agreed to play, I think it was Mortal Kombat, for the whole weekend for 2 or 3 days straight, if the other would play Everquest for 2 or 3 days straight. And what ended up happening is the three of us ended up playing Everquest for like 8 months together, as well as my brother. We had a posse of 4 and it was fucking fun. Like, this is the best game I've ever played, no, hands down. It's shitty graphics, you get used to it. I'm just gonna jump into the Shaman. It's just such a big game. So I have an ogre shaman. I didn't get into the races at all, but as we see people, maybe I'll start talking about what they are and what's going on. Okay, I'll try to narrate. Keep in mind this is my first stream. I'm gonna try to narrate what's going on here. So, oh man, it sucks that the graphics are so shitty because it is such a fantastic game. Like, when you come over and look at that tree, I know everybody's gonna be like, man, what the fuck is this? This is garbage. It's garbage. It looks like garbage. The fucking water looks weird. There's a weird little mummy here you can't even see because he blends in with the sand. Weird ass scarab over there. So this is a dude. This is another player. So that's an Ixar. That's the race. So it's like a lizard man. And he's a necromancer, which I can tell because he's got a pet. If I was to, so this game's from 1999, so it doesn't have a shit ton of buttons that do stuff for you. So a lot of the times you had to use slash commands. And in like World of Warcraft, for example, you get like the slash salute, which was common, or slash dance. Those basically came from this game, because in this game you can't really see it, but if you salute somebody, your guy does a little fucking goofy thing, right? Whatever that is, right? Or if you bow. And so this dude just said hello to me. I said, hey man. Oh, he'll probably... So the thing about a shaman is I can give people speed. So I'm going to cast Spirit of Wolf on him. It's going to make him run real fast. So he'll be happy about that. So now let's just explain the game a little bit. So back in 1999, clearly the graphics were not that amazing, but there was no other game like this at the time. And in fact, there's really no game like this even to date. The closest comparison I can even make is World of Warcraft. And even that is not... So the thing about World of Warcraft is it's instances. So, for example, if you've ever started as an alliance, your first instance is like Dead Mines. Or if you start as Horde, your first instance is Wailing Caverns, I think it was. Basically, those are like zones. That's like a map or a zone or a dungeon that's just built for your group. So you could have 6 groups behind you and they can all walk through this portal and they all have the same dungeon. They all have the same monsters in front of them. They all have the same path to take. They all have the same challenge. They all have, it's the same for every group. You know, however good or bad they might play changes things, of course, but no matter what, when you walk through that portal, you're in a dungeon that's made just for you. EverQuest doesn't have instances. It's just a big fucking world. Big world. So what's cool about that is the dungeons that are made in this game, they don't just take an hour to get through. It takes you like 2 hours to get to where you want to get to set up shop and then start to get the rewards. So it's kind of what you do. There are terms for it, kind of. What you do is you go into the entrance of a dungeon with your group and you plow. You basically traverse through the dungeon and there's going to be a bunch of mobs there. Maybe it's a goblin dungeon or something and there's a bunch of goblins around. So you traverse through the dungeon, you kind of kill them, and there'll be groups of 4, groups of 5, and you can't take 5 at once. So you have to use a lot of tactics in order to split them off into 1s or 2s. Now, you can do that in several different ways. I won't get into that right now because you'll just fucking see it eventually. But, oh man, this game's fun. So you traverse through the dungeon. It's called plowing, and then you kind of get to a camp. So usually you plow to a specific spot where a boss is, and then you set up shop, and you kind of kill that placeholder. So mobs, excuse me, mobs will spawn in the same spot, typically, not always. So it's really common that you'll just kill. If you, let's say you plowed into a big round room, and in that round room there's 10 different goblins that are spawning, and you kind of kill them one by one by one. So you kill them, and there's 10 dead. Now typically it takes maybe 20 minutes or so before the monster will respawn. So a lot of the times you'll end up in a round room of 10 mobs, and the idea is you almost want to kill them. You almost want to kill all 10 of them in 20 minutes. So then the first one that you killed will spawn again, and you get this chain going where you just basically recycle these mobs as they spawn. It just means that it's really effective because you're all ready for it. Most of the time you're just kind of sitting there waiting for mana and you're waiting for the mob to spawn instead of trying to wait for mana. And eventually you get a good timing of it. Maybe you can go pull another mob from the hallway and bring them into the rotation. So now you're killing 11 mobs every 20 minutes. It's really kind of a shitty way of explaining, and it's a perfect way of explaining it, but it doesn't really sound very fun. Way more fun to actually experience. This game is just fucking phenomenal. So I guess I'll do something. I'll quickly explain the interface. So on the left hand side, I've got my buffs set up. There's different various windows that you can kind of open, such as my spellbook that's open here. You can do that with keyboard shortcuts or press this little red guy here. On the left hand side, the bottom, I've got my actual spells. If I hold Alt, I'll tell you what they are. Light healing, spirit. So I've got a heal, a nuke, a slow, a dot, a damage over time, a shitty dot, a root, which is super important. So root is a caster's tea, bread and butter. I don't know, something good. Chocolate, ice cream, shit, coffee. Anyway, root is cool. So it roots the monster in its place, and that's what it does. If you then nuke the monster, like throw a frost blast at him or something, you're probably going to break the roots under his feet. Now, keep in mind the graphics suck, so you don't really see the roots under his feet, nor do you see them breaking. But it's kind of a text-based game. Before 1999, I think they were called MUDs. I can't remember what MUD stands for, and maybe it doesn't even stand for anything. But they're basically text-based games. So you would have to, EverQuest is sort of text-based. So in the bottom, I've got my main chat. That's where we can see everybody just chatting and saying hello to me, or the group chat or the guild chat, whatever. You can make new windows and separate chat if you want. I try to just keep everything in this main one, so even my auctions go here, and it's a little bit cluttered at sometimes. But I am a fan of the /clear function if you do play EQ /CLE or /CLER. And I've got it bound to a mouse, so boom, and I just got it on my thing, and it just clears that. You can actually clear that one too. It's just it's kind of my way of keeping everything clear, clean. Occasionally you get somebody will send you a tell at the exact same time that you cleared it, and you're like, fuck. You kind of have to just ask them to resend it, which is shitty, but there's ways to resend things. You shift up so it's not so difficult. Anyway, a lot of this is text-based. So again, if I do a /bow, you'll see my character bow, but most likely nobody's looking at you, and you'll just read it. So in the very bottom here, we can see you bow. Yeah, I fucking bowed. Anyway, I'm just blabbering on. So here's my health bar. The red is health, blue is mana, yellow is stamina, which is just for jumping. I actually don't know. I don't think this really comes into play in this Project 1999. If I recall, they had a hard time programming it correctly. So the developers that are making P1999, they basically took the Everquest code that was all patched up and had a million expansions attached to it, and they, I guess, reverse engineered it, and they had to strip things away, and they had to go find old code or old references in forums to see how strong bosses were. A shit ton of work has been put into this creation, and mind you, it's all free to play. You just have to have owned Everquest and installed it on your computer. Everquest Titanium is the one that I have. I'm pretty damn sure you can probably torrent that too, and it's probably, you know, whatever. But definitely all you need is the game installed, and then you can launch Project 1999. There is a whole guide to getting it going. I have linked that in the description, I believe. I tried to anyway. So you can reference that, how to get started. So then we've got the target. So it does have my name right now. If I target this crocodile here, his title, the crocodile title, will kind of blink at you, and also my target has changed to the crocodile. I target on that dude over there. That is now my target. Again, a lot of this game is keyboard oriented, so you can actually slash target or even slash T, I think. And if I typed that dude's name over to my right, IZLAAR Islar, he's now blinking. So if I don't target him and then I type slash target Islar, he's now blinking. So you can slash target yourself. There's hotkeys like F1, I can target myself, blah blah blah, it doesn't matter. Here's a little window that I don't use very often. It's got different skills, but I use it more to just, like, you know, hide different corpses. There's different keybinds and stuff that you can create that are pretty useful, like hiding all corpses, hiding all existing corpses except for mine. You can target corpses, you can drag them, etc, etc. Let's actually play this fucking game. Okay, so now that I've been blabbering on so long, I've actually lost my buffs. So part of the job of a shaman is to buff the party, and they've got all kinds of buffs. Strength buff, dex buff, stamina buff, dexterity buff, and armor class buff. So shamans are all about buffing, healing, and slowing. So I have lost a few. So you don't really need buffs in a lot of cases. So I'm gonna put on this inner fire. It's a health buff because it's like 5 health. It's kind of useless, but I'll put it on. And then I'm gonna put on this strengthen. You don't really need strength, especially as an ogre. It's not going to affect you really, and especially at the beginning. As an ogre caster, I should say, as an ogre shaman, as an ogre warrior, shadow knight, it's great. Strength lets you hit harder, but there's a damage cap at the lower levels, so you can't put some epic sword on yourself and do. You can twink yourself pretty good, but you can't just necessarily one hit everything. So this is kind of how they stop you. There is a limit on the damage. I think typically what it is twice your weapon damage, I think. So like my weapon damage does 11, but I'll be hitting for 22, and I think eventually you'll just start hitting for higher, and that's when you kind of know that you've went past your damage cap. There's a lot of details on the P1999 wiki. Just Google that. You can get all the details that I'm rambling on about, and a lot more. Okay, so I'm buffing. So strength is kind of useless for me. I kind of just have OCD, and I think I like to put on the buffs just because I have them. But again, that strength, I'm damage cap. It's not going to do absolutely anything. What it's going to do is increase my carry weight. Actually, in this case, is really high. I have a lot of shit on me, so that is kind of useful for the carry weight if you're carrying too much to slow down. So I just put on dex. Dexterity is not very important again for me. It's better for melee classes, but I think all it really does is make your weapons proc. So if you have some special effects on your weapons, it increases the chance that they'll go off. So let's say they were 10% by base and you had good dex, maybe they're like 15% every hit. I don't know what the percentages are. This is a random number. So that's dex. I don't know if it does anything else. Maybe no, because agility does dodge rate and shit like that. So I don't know what else dex actually does in this game mechanically. Spirit of the Bear. So this is going to be a stamina buff. So stamina is really important for pretty much all classes. It increases your health pool, which is really important in this game. It's kind of one of the few metrics that you know is making a difference, because you see your health go from 100 to 150 or whatever it is. A lot of the times, man, it's so crazy how many times you live in this game with like 1% health, and you're probably like, damn, if I wasn't buffed right now, I'd be dead all the time. Fuck, that's why you just buff. Okay, so the last buff I have is a speed buff. It wasn't actually worn out. This game doesn't tell you any of the durations. You can, like the spell durations, however long they are on you. Basically the live EverQuest version, the one that actually is still being updated even to date, 21 years later. It's almost like the easy version. This is the classic hard version. So there's a shit ton of features in the newer EverQuest that are not going to exist here. They're just cut off, which is fantastic. I don't actually remember why I started talking about that, but there's a lot of things that are going to be missing, and especially in this green progression, there's certain things that just didn't exist yet in the classic timeline, and the developers are trying to bring us through the journey as closely as, in a very loose, actually, sense of the way of the past. The reason being is because people got so goddamn good at this game because it's been out for 20 years. They kind of had to switch up a little bit of their tactics. People were finding exploits that people would have never found back in 1999 because we weren't stuck playing the same fucking pixels for 20 years, you know. So props to the developers in some ways. I mean, they have overcome some interesting challenges, but at the same time they've come up with some silly strategies, in my opinion, to certain things. But it's this whole play fair policy that we try to do these days, you know, which is cool. Gotta keep it fun for everybody. It is shitty to ruin somebody else's Saturday, you know, like nobody wants to do that. This game gets a little bit cutthroat. Oh shit. Yeah, okay, I guess we're fighting this mummy. I don't have any of my spells bound, so I just rooted him, so he's stuck in the ground. Now I don't have any of my spells up. I'm gonna put a heal on. I'm gonna put the nuke on, and we're gonna smash him now. So I don't have my slow up, which is kind of shitty. It would be nice to slow him. So I'm gonna root him again. So now he's stuck in the ground. I'm gonna open up my spell book. I'm gonna put on my slow. And while he's rooted there, I'm gonna get my damage over time. Okay, so now we're a little bit more ready for combat. I'm just gonna nuke him with my damage over time. Tainted breath, bam. Now he's poisoned. He's actually still rooted in the ground. So I'm just gonna take advantage of that, and I'm gonna sit here and meditate. So my mana is at 50% right now. 60%, which isn't great. I've just drained 40% mana and I've barely done any damage to him at all. It's because I had to root twice and memorize my spells. I didn't expect to get jumped by him. I was just chatting away and he was right beside me. This game's really dangerous. This is the only game that's ever really made my heart fucking jump, man. Because later on, if you die, you're losing like 5 hours of good gameplay, not just like 5 hours of fucking dicking around. So dying later on is tragic. Like, can almost ruin your day. Just because it takes so long to get back to where you were. Anyway, now we're beating this mummy up. I have not slowed him, so let's do that. In your class, walking sleep. It's actually my strong slow. Got interrupted. Okay. So now he's slow. It actually says he's yawned. So again, this game is very text-based, so you do have to kind of look for these little cues. It does make it a little challenging to kind of play, but you do get used to. Oh, he's fucking me up. Okay. So if you see it, okay, I gotta run. So if you see here on the left, I only have 20%, 40% health left. I just fell a lot and it hurt a lot. So now I have 25% health, and now I've actually slowed down. My speed has slowed down because we're so hurt. So I'm gonna try to root him. Got him rooted, which is fantastic because we were in trouble there. So slow just wore off, which we can read, which is okay. So we're about to go through a zone line. So basically what's going to happen is we're going to load, because again, this game was made in 1999. It just couldn't handle a big ass world without breaking it up into little zones. Part of the benefit and part of the just overall how this game is played with zones is that monsters cannot follow you past the zone line. That monster doesn't exist in the next zone. So what that means is monsters don't ever stop chasing you. In World of Warcraft, I think, fuck, there's a word for it. Anyway, they cut off eventually. After so many yards or meters or whatever the hell, the monsters will stop chasing you. In this, they don't stop chasing you until you zone, or until somebody else kills them, or until you log out. Actually, later in the game, your root spell lasts up to 2 minutes. It's kind of a common ability to root something, and then you can actually log out. And to log out in this game, it's kind of a neat. There's a lot of imagination liberties you kind of have to take. You can't just log out in this game. To make it a little bit more challenging and realistic, you have to do a type /camp, or you could type /quit. And like if you're in a hurry and you need to go now, like you're running out the door, you can do a /quit and it will shut your game off and you can shut down your computer or whatever. But your character will actually remain in the world for 30, 40 seconds or so, which is rather dangerous because you're not there to control anything. So, and a lot of shit happens in this game. Like we just saw, I'm chatting away and all of a sudden there's a fucking mummy beside me that's ready to kill me. Anyway, so you can later on root and then camp. Right now, I'm gonna heal myself. So we can see my heal does shit because I'm only level 16. And now we're probably at a point where I can let my mana go up, and maybe by the time my mana's full, my health will have also regenerated. So you don't want to heal all the way. It's kind of most of the way. This isn't the best spot to sit and go AFK, but I do have to piss. A lot of casters have invisibility. I think I have one later on, but I don't think I have it yet at level 16. I don't remember what Spirit Sight is. I gotta piss, so I'm gonna hopefully not die. Okay, so I didn't die. Mana's not quite full. We'll just hang out. Okay, so what am I looking for? Group on, and maybe we'll get a little bit more fun action. Okay, I'm gonna zone back in. Usually monsters are not around the zone line, but the thing is, you just witnessed me run away from a monster and into a new zone. That's called it's not necessarily, but it's sort of called training. You're training monsters to the zone line because again, they don't stop following you. So it's courtesy if you're doing exactly what I just did to actually say train to and whatever zone line you're going to. So for example, I just came from South Row, I think, or North. Yeah, it's been a long time since I played. Anyway, you're supposed to shout usually, so it shows up in red in the chat. You can do different types of talk. You can do a /say, which is just in white. Of course, you can change the colors, but by default it's in white. You can do a /yell, that's in /shout, sorry, that's in red, etc. /out of character, OOC, that's most common what people talk in. And it's what I'm going to do right now. So this game was made in 1999, where Dungeons and Dragons was pretty big. So role playing was a big deal. So what they made is slash out of character. It's a whole chat. It's just like I mean, it's no different from any other chat other than it's green. But it's to kind of, you can filter out certain types of chat. Like you could filter out the out of character. So some people are diehards back in the day, of course, and wanted to just do role playing only, so they wouldn't hear any out of character. And it was kind of typical that you would talk like a nerd and do whatever. But now people just use out of character just to chat. That's how people just chat in this game. So what I'm going to say is level 16 shaman looking for group. Now, I could just say LFG, of course, but whatever. Okay, well, that's being sent out. Let's try to find something to kill. Okay, so when you select something, typically you want to con it or consider it. So when you consider it, you can see in my chat that this came in, this crocodile scowls at me ready to attack. Now it says it looks like a risky fight, but it might be worthy of a try. Basically, this is the color coding that you really care about. So this is a dark blue. I think the scale goes green is the easiest, and then dark blue, and then just gonna slow this fucker. Yes, nice. Yeah, slow. Green, dark blue, white is even level with you. Yellow is 1 or 2 levels higher than you, and then red is like an undetermined amount of levels higher than you. So basically, if you ever punch a red monster, or I mean, that's if they don't already attack you, you're gonna die in 1 hit, almost guaranteed. Unless you really know what you're doing. Yellow monsters are extremely tough to kill pretty much at any level, unless you're buffed. Unless you've got like a high level 60 druid buffs or cleric, whatever. Unless you're buffed and your health pool is out through the roof, then you pretty much don't want to kill yellows either. Sometimes in a group, you might want to pull whites and yellows, depending if you're the lower level in the group. Kind of going over details here. A lot of this game is just automatic, so my dude's just auto attacking right now. But the thing is, I just got this weapon. It's a 2-hand blunt, so my skill is slowly going up as I use it. You do have to skill. You do have a number of skills. Ooh, there's a fucking giant behind me. I didn't even know. Oh, I just fucked up the camera. There we go. Okay. So I just nuked that crocodile and killed him. You can see at the bottom I did 76 damage and I killed him. I don't know how to make slain past tense. Slained? That doesn't make sense. Slayed him. Okay, there's a giant over. Oh fuck! Oh fuck! Oh, I'm dead. Okay, so this thing will one-shot me. If it touches me, it will kill me. It is not liking me. So, shit. So again, it would be very courteous of me to do a /yell and say that I'm training a sand giant to the South Row zone line. However, if I stop for even a second, this thing's gonna fucking smoke me. So you'll notice that I'm running at a bit of a diagonal angle. It just makes your pixels move slightly faster, and when something like this is chasing you, you're gonna want to do it. So we got to the zone line, we're good, which is great. And that's only because I noticed him ahead of time. I actually knew he was in the blind spot of the mountain there, and yet I approached him anyway, just to show you what the fuck Sand Giant's all about. And then I ran away from him. Okay, so you don't necessarily want to zone back in right away, because technically that Sand Giant could be on the other side of the zone line waiting to just smash me as I load in the zone. So we're gonna hang out here for a moment. It's probably already been long enough. Damn, there's a lot of talking in the stream. 40 minutes of straight talking. And I've like punched nothing. Sorry, like fuck, there's just so much to this game. I think a lot of the streams will be like this, to be perfectly honest. The game is just so intense. There's just so much depth to it. I think a lot of my rambling will be useless because most people will just be fast forwarding to some action, which is totally cool. I would too. Okay. So again, I want a group. So the problem I'm having is I'm not in a group. It's not always best to be in a group. I actually have a decent weapon, that staff, but my skill with it is not very high. Now it doesn't take super. Oh, what's going down there? This guy's gonna kill that giant. So this guy, I actually saw him earlier. He's like level 50, and I'm just gonna sit back and watch. We can watch. So he's got a name. So that's a Shadow Knight. So what he just did is feared that sand giant. So you can see the sand giant has a lot of life left. And what a Shadow Knight can do is actually fear a target and then kite them. That's the term, kiting. That's if you're fear kiting, or if you're snare kiting is if you have a druid can slow them by 60% or whatever, and they'll just never touch you. So you can run away from them while also doing damage over time spells, and you can get them that way. So that's kind of what's going on here. I have a feeling. Oh, I thought there was another necromancer around here helping him out, but apparently not. So he's doing pretty good. That sand giant is looking good. At this point, I'm going to give him a speed buff because I know he's not going to lose that fight. So the thing about this game is now I'm entered in combat with that sand giant because I helped the dude who's engaged with that sand giant in combat. Because I helped him, I'm now on that hate list that I mentioned earlier. So that sand giant is now aware of me, and if this dude just fucking lost connection or zoned out, I literally went out of the zone, not zoned out, but walked out of the zone like I did earlier, then that sand giant would be pissed off at me and come and kill me. So sometimes, it's super rare, but sometimes you'll just be a nice guy and you're running through a zone and you're gonna just give a guy speed like I just did, but you don't actually realize that he's engaged with the target somewhere, and then maybe he zones out, and you have no fucking idea, but you've been entered onto this hate list with this monster, and even though it's on the other side of the goddamn zone, he's aware of you, he's pissed at you, he's gonna run all the way to you and get you. So sometimes, again, it's super rare, but sometimes you'd be AFK or something, you just run through and oh, what's he going? Okay, is that dude almost dead or what? Okay. Okay, so basically I'm looking for something to kill. There's a crocodile in this general direction. I've got tab. Okay, so it's that Cayman's dark blue. Let's kill this guy. So I'm gonna use my nuke, or my damage over time. I'm in the water, so I'm all fucking slow. So he hit me from behind and kind of stunned me. Okay, so I've got my auto attack on. I'm gonna slow him. There. So now he's slowed, he's yawned. I don't know what percentage the slow is because it's only level 16, but it'll be pretty good. It'll be like 30% slow, which actually is it makes a significant difference. You can see whenever they hit me, it's red. I don't know if you can see that. I do have it pretty tiny. I'm just so used to the game. I know what's going on with the colors most of the time. But it has been a long ass time since I played. Okay, so basically, there goes my dot. My tainted breath just wore off, so I'm gonna put that back on. So it got him, and looks like I'm gonna win this fight. The Cayman's almost dead. I've got 60% health. I'm smashing him for 22s. We're good. So the dude that I just gave Sow, it's called Spirit of Wolf. It's SOW Sow. he just said thanks for the sow as well, whoever casted it. So I casted it. I'm not going to take credit for that, because I just did now. But he's actually hooked me up with a little bit of an item earlier. Okay, so this part of the map is a little bit more bumping. Just along the shore here, people killing crocs. We can actually see who's in the zone. We just do a slash. You can do a /who if you type it out. And what we see is there's 18 people in this zone, in the zone of Oasis of Mar. And there's an 18 wizard neck, blah blah blah. Nothing too crazy. There's nothing really around my level. So there's 16 shaman, that's me. There's a 17 wizard, 15 enchanter, 14 necro, 18 enchanter, 17 enchanter. No tanks. So that's the problem. I'm a healer. I'm kind of looking for a tank. 19 monk. Okay, yeah, I'm not killing it. So a 19 monk is too high for me. I'm 16, so 15 3 levels is not so much. 3 levels is not so much later on, but at this time, it's quite a big difference. So this kind of blows. This is part of the game. I just don't have a really good group. And again, my 2 on blunt skills so low, I'm having a hard time really soloing here. So again, at the very near the beginning of the stream, I mentioned like necromancers are really good at soloing. That Shadow Knight that we just watched kill that sand giant. I should mention the sand giants are like level 40 or something. I'm level 16, so that's why that thing smashed me in one hit. But that Shadow Knight that soloed that sand giant, I think he was like level 51. He's still in the zone. We'll see him here. Yeah, nope, he's not in here anymore. Anyway, he was kiting him, which is what necromancers can do, which makes them good soloers. Shamans can't really kite. I mean, they can, but can't. It's kind of a pain. So these 2 guys are teamed up, most likely. That's why they're sitting beside each other and killing. Oh, cool. Okay, so here's why enchanters are cool. So the skeleton pet, that's the necromancer that was just beside us. That is this dude's. And then the other one is actually called a desert madman. And that is just a normal monster that's out in this zone. Now, because that's an enchanter up there, Vexira is her name. Probably a dude. Oh, other way around. I got them backwards. Okay, so that's the actual necromancer, and the other dude is the enchanter. So that dude's the enchanter. But he had a desert madman charmed to do his bidding. Okay, so here we have a dark blue croc. I'm gonna kill it. Okay. Look at those pristine graphics. Badass. Look at those connections, the staff just totally connecting. I will admit, it looks fucking ridiculous, but if you play it, you get so immersed into it. Everything takes so long in this game that everything becomes so rewarding. We are smashing him, though. Going to need to break to eat soon. Okay, I'm just gonna nuke him. Oof. So it did quite a bit of damage. 76, so he's almost dead. One more, there it is. Oh, I'll take that. Okay, so some monsters want to kill you just by default, and when you consider them, they tell you that it tells you that they're ready to attack you. Whereas some creatures in the game don't really give a shit about you. So this sand scarab looks at me dubiously. So he just doesn't like me, but he doesn't really give a fuck about me. He's not gonna go out of his way to kill me. The crocodiles are a little bit bugged because they do say they want to attack, but they don't. So that's kind of throws you for a loop. This dry bone skeleton that's right beside me, that will fuck me up, so I should be very careful about that. In fact, I could even let other people know that there's one around just so they don't run into him by accident. Sometimes you'll think it's a weak skeleton and you run into it to fight it and realize it's gonna fucking kill you. It'll happen. And I can be a little less cautious right now though, because I do know that sand giant that roams this area was killed. Mind you, there could be another one. I don't think there is around here, but you know, if you've never played the game before, you want to be on your toes pretty much at all times. One thing in this classic version of this, so right now, I don't know if I explained it very well, but this Project 1999 Green server is, it just started, I don't know, like a year ago or something, but it's like a progression server of Project 1999. So they had a blue server that was up and running for years and years and years, and it was like their beta server. Now this green server is a little bit of a test run, but it's pretty damn good from what I hear. Seems like the same toxic environment exists at the end game of this game. It just gets so cutthroat because you spend so long to develop your character. It just kind of sucks when you get like a shitty group or something, or you finally plow into the dungeon to where you want to go and then somebody leaves. It's like, fuck, now we don't have a healer after all that. How do like now most of the time you just plow out, you know? So sometimes it's a hard game to play because you kind of do need a large time investment. I mean, shit, I've been playing for an hour now, and what have I killed? 2 things? Of course I've been chatting more than I've been playing. I just had to give a good preface into what the fuck is going on, because I don't think, mind you, I don't think anybody watches anyway, but I don't think that you can see these shitty graphics and just be on board. I think you'll see this and be like, fuck it, this is garbage. And I agree, graphics are shit. But man, is this game ever fun? Okay, so what I'm gonna do is run over to a little bit of a safe spot, and I'm just gonna take a 5-10 minute break to eat something and grab some water instead of coffee. I love coffee. Okay, I'm gonna give this dude some speed. I did give it to him earlier, but it's probably about to wear off. That one lasts about half an hour or so. Speed is really cool in this game because what it does is allow you to move, you know, even 5% faster than a monster, which could be enough to save your ass. So it's a big deal. Also, the game is so fucking big, it takes so goddamn long to run anywhere. Like seriously, if you were to go to like A to Z, the end of the world in this game, I don't know how long it'd take you, man. Like 3 days. Ooh. Somebody asked me if I'm looking for real. It is an 18 shaman. So he's gonna want me to replace him. He's probably leaving to take a break to eat, is what I wanted to do. I will eat something. So I'm gonna run in that direction because I think he was most likely along the beach. Okay, his name is Manam. Most likely he wants me to replace him. And replace me in an orc group straight out from first gypsy camp next to lake. Can you replace me at orc group straight out from first gypsy camp next to lake? We have a clerics. Sweet. Okay, so I got a group. I don't know where it is though. Can you replace me at orc group straight out from first gypsy camp next to lake? I think I know what he's talking about. So I'll just let him know I'm on my way. This is a slightly sketchy zone to walk through. It's not that bad, but the sand giants can fuck you up. Okay, so there's a button, hide corpse. I'm gonna hide it. makes all those disappear. That is not who I'm looking for. So there's a ghoul that'll fuck us all up. White. That's a player. And he's gonna give me a dead man floating most likely, and I'm gonna give him some speed. So I just saluted him. So this game's fucking awesome, man. The community's sweet. So he's got alright. So he gave me one of my favorite spells in the game, which is Dead Man Floating. Which means I levitate. So it doesn't do a whole lot at the beginning of the game here, but it is fun as fuck later on. Oh shit, I pulled one by accident and it's white. Okay. Okay, so I just don't think I gave that dude fucking Sal. Isla is surrounded by us. You begin casting, so I missed him. I gave the other dude speed. Okay, so the group that I'm joining. So they were out here killing orcs, and there's a bunch more coming at me, so I'm gonna move a little bit. Kind of sucks to move because this orc's probably gonna hit me while I'm running away a bit, but I don't want to pull any new ones. This is getting a little dicey because I'm at 40% life, so's he. And now slow just wore off, so he's gonna start hitting harder. And I should be aware of anything else that's gonna... Okay, so we can nuke him at this point. Boom. That got him. Pick up that earring and we'll take off. Okay, so I don't have very much life or mana, and I owe this dude a fucking Sow. So I'm gonna hit this dude up with speed because I did not hit him earlier, I don't think. There, now I got him. Just sent to a quick tell. I'm not sure I actually got him with Sal last time. Okay, now I should be looking out for giants, and this dude will fucking want to kill me too. Okay, what is that skeleton? We're good. Okay, so they invited me to their group. And now I'm in the group. Okay, so I should be meting because I have absolutely no mana, and I should be slowing. /G for /group. I'm just gonna LOM for low mana. Okay, guys. And I'm gonna disappear. It's kind of bad form, but I'm gonna disappear and grab a granola bar. Alright. Okay, so we got a Dervish Cutthroat. I'm gonna get my other slow spell on. It's not quite as much, but it is a little way less mana. Okay, so go stand. Okay, we're gonna slow this fucker. Boom. Okay, so this is how later on I'll get people to join Discord, I guess, and that'll okay. Raz, this guy is in our group. This crocodile is shit. Okay. I need an assist button. Okay. I have to make an assist macro. Assist. Assist off. Assist off. Okay, so I don't make that black. Okay, so what I just did is made an assist button, which means 1, 2, 4. My keyboard shortcut 4 on my R1. This button. Okay, so now I've made an assist button. If I target Raz here and then hit my assist button, it's going to target his target. So now I'm targeting his target, which is this deep water croc. I'm just going to nuke it because I should have been doing more of this fight. My job is to kind of slow things and heal. But there is a cleric in this group, so my job is not so much to heal, but more slow things and just do damage, kind of. Which is cool because my staff, my 2 blind, actually does fantastic damage. It's really good for my level. And I'm gonna eat granola bar. So there's going to be a lot of this. As you can see, the job of a caster can get kind of boring at times because you're just fucking sitting here. Literally, I'm just sitting here waiting for my mana to go up. The job for a tank, or a monk in this case, is to go pull things to our group. So this Raz dude is running out looking for things to fight. And when he finds one, he's going to run it all the way back to our group. Actually kind of tedious for him too after a while. It's a lot of fun when you play. Damn, this game's a lot more fun to play than it is to watch, I guarantee it. Okay, so who's fighting that came in? Not us. So whoever's killing that croc, his name is that necro dude. You can see here in my group, that necro dude is not in our group. This came in, however, is. And I've got good mana, so I'm going to slow it. So it yawns, you can see in the chat, so it's tired. Now somebody just pulled that deep. Now this deep. Oops. I want to slow it. Now it's slowed. And let's go beat the shit out of it. So it's rooted right now. I can tell that because if I walk closer to it, it's gonna hit me. So root has a weird mechanic where it hits whatever target is closest to it. And it also means that Okay, so we've got another croc here. I'm gonna slow it. So some dude who is a Shadow Knight, who I think is the same Shadow Knight that killed that sand giant earlier, he asked me for a Spirit of Wolf. Super common. People would be harassing me. Why can't I? Oh, am I fucking encumbered to shit? I need a strength spell. Oh man, like what? Why am I so, oh, my Sao ran out. That's hilarious. I'm so used to having it. I'm like, what's wrong with my character? Why am I so slow? I thought I was weighed down. Okay, so he's slow. I don't think this guy's gonna need Sao because we just had a shaman, but I'll cast on him anyway. And it looked like it took hold, and now I'm short on mana, so I'm at 40% mana. I'm just gonna hang tight, let that go up for a bit. Okay, so I've got both of these crocodiles slowed, so they're gonna output a lot less damage. I think our cleric only has 20 mana. Who Topo? Yeah, our cleric only has 20% mana, so he's pretty low. She's pretty low, probably a dude. I have 40%, so let them know that I have 40 because I'm a backup healer. So if that bitch runs out of mana, I should be able to heal a little bit. But it's more important that I get this. Well, it's not more important, but when people have life, it's more important for me to get the slows on. This game is very, very much about efficiency. Again, going back to that analogy before, or example before, about sitting in a round room killing 10 monsters. Basically, you get your efficiency better and better, so you can take on 11 monsters and then 12 monsters in that 20-minute rotation. And you do that by capitalizing on the cleric's mana. So it's always been frustrating for me in a game of World of Warcraft after playing EverQuest that priests, Shadow Priests specifically, just don't, they want to do damage. And when you really stack up what like a rogue does versus a fucking Shadow Priest, this doesn't even, it hardly compares. The mana in a priest should go to healing, in my opinion, in almost every game. It's just, except for Dungeons and Dragons. You know what, to be honest, clerics are super overpowered in the classic D&D. They're just so fucking strong because they wear plate. Fucking dope. They can shoot fireballs at the right deity. Man, those are old school times. Totally digressing. Here for EverQuest. Okay, so this bitch has not full life. Our cleric's trying to get some mana. I'll just do a spot heal there. Didn't do very much, so I think this chick's probably buffed. So I'll just give her 3 heals and then sit tight. And here's our monk. He's back with a monster, with a crocodile. Okay, so I'm gonna use a slow. Now it's pretty early in the fight for me to slow, so I got aggro. I kind of caught that. I knew that was coming. It's really common. It's not gonna stop me from doing it that early, because now I get to take it. So here's my theory. Well, here's the fact. I take a hit, or 2, or 3, and I'm still almost at full life, because it's so slow now. It can only swing every once in a while. It's not hitting me anymore, but point is, I can take a hit or 2 and then sit down, and while I'm waiting for mana now, I'll regen that health. So I can always take 1 or 2 hits per fight, preferably, Again, just to capitalize on that efficiency. Now, our tank is a little bit fucked up. Ah, shit. So, not a huge deal, but I just slowed this croc as people in our group were nuking it. So it died really fast, so all its health got taken up. Which, again, isn't really a big deal. It's kind of the point. But I sort of wasted my slow at that point, because slow is going to last 45 seconds or a minute or whatever, however long it lasts. But if the thing just gets blown up and dies, then my slow is pretty ineffective because it's fucking dead. So sort of wasted it on my part, but it'll happen a lot. You don't always know. Damn, eventually you get good at this game where you hear the audible cues of people casting. You just get an ear for it. Okay, so this thing's been hit a few times. I'm gonna slow it. Man, it's going down fast. Again, I kind of wasted my slow. I could have just nuked it, because it would have been dead now with the nuke. I don't know what's killing that so fast, but I got drained. Oh. Okay, where were we? So what do we got? This thing is not on my side. I'm gonna slow it. Toss a heal that way because I got full mana. So this thing is red, so that's what you can do in groups. Sometimes you can pull yellows and reds. Because we can collectively kill them. See, like 2 hits, it took out 20% of my health. If I was trying to solo kill this thing, I'd be fucked. Also, I'm not a tank. So tanks in this game mitigate damage, which means if this crocodile hits me for, let's say, 10 damage, it hits me for 10 damage. But if it hits our tank or the monk at 10 damage, that monk's gonna mitigate 2 damage. It's only gonna hurt him for 8. That's kind of a shitty example. I'm gonna have absolutely no idea on the actual numbers, but that's the concept. Tanks are better at tanking. Now armor class comes into play. There's so much to talk about. I mean, I know it's only been an hour and I've just blasted into a bunch of shit, but there's just a lot. When I was talking about stats, I didn't even show you the stats. There's strength, stamina, agility, dex, wisdom, intellect, intelligence, and charisma. Let's clear those. Let's give this guy a heal. So, strength, as I mentioned, makes you hit harder and raises your carry limit. Stamina is your total health limit. So he just resisted my slow. So I'm just gonna go ahead and do it again. To recast that twice is a lot of hate though. And there we go, I just got aggro. And it landed on him though. The problem is if they resist twice and you piss them off, then you're gonna get fucking hurt. Hey, can you help me do a transfer, please? So this dude wants me to help him transfer some shit. Okay, I'm now overweight. I'm gonna throw us. Oh fuck, a goal! Where is that going? Oh, we're gonna kill it. Okay, okay, let's do it. So ghouls are. They're actually not that bad, but they can root. So I actually can, oh yeah, and they require magic damage on your weapons to actually hurt them. I have magic damage on mine, so I might end up getting fucked up here. Okay, be slow. Sorry, I'm just getting pulled all over the place in my brain here. Okay, so I'm supposed to transfer. Cleric shouldn't have healed me. I didn't really need. I can heal myself, but it's better just to med. Okay, so stamina, agility. Agility is dodge rate. Man, it's been a long time since I played this game, so this is going a little bit of recollection. Agility is definitely dodge rate. It's good for monks. I know it does something else too. It's good for any tanks, really. Except for rogues. So rogues are cool in this game because they're just glass fucking cannons, man. They hit hard and they die fast. Which is cool because when you play a rogue, you have to be careful. So the way that okay, so this dude's back. Okay, so this is the dude I'm transferring. He's back. I'm gonna help and give him some speed. And I'm gonna go find the sword that he gave me, 200 practice sword. To the this dude, Lucy Metal. Okay, make sure it's the right person. 2 items, trade. Do/cheer. Good to go. Oops. Okay, so we got a crocodile. Hold it right to my face. We'll go ahead and slow that. And we're rolling. So it was already slowed, but this enchanter re-slowed it. Probably has a better slow than me. Because it landed, I think I don't know. I don't know if it landed. Oh, I guess I should explain what that means. You can't do the same spell on a monster twice, which in some cases is kind of lame, because like for example, I think actually, you know what, I don't fucking know. Okay, in a group setting, we'll have to look this one up, but in a group setting only the highest type of spell will apply. So if I cast my damage over time, that's a poison spell, and then a necromancer comes along and casts a poison spell that does more damage or higher level than my spell, I believe mine gets taken off and replaced with the higher level spell. Now I don't know, so what got me confused in my brain is I don't know how that works when it comes to raids, raids and bosses, like killing big bosses, because I would assume that everybody's dots are applying, but maybe when you're all level 60 they all just apply because you're all max level. I actually don't know, so it's about rating that I'm a little confused. But I know in a group setting, if somebody's got a higher level spell than you, like a higher level poison spell that's doing damage to them over time, and I try to cast mine, it'll still look like it lands on them, but in the chat menu I'll get a comment like your spell did not take hold, which essentially means that there's a higher level spell already applied. Man, sometime I will be done, hopefully, explaining all this shit. So the reason I feel like I must go so in depth is so you guys can just understand what's going on more than me just describing these as crocodiles. Yeah, I'll need to go through and they can take over tanking. Okay, I need some fucking water in this bitch. Okay, I need to meditate. Fuck, man, props to Joe Rogan for going 3 hours. It's been an hour and a half, and how many times have I gotten up already? Like, I pissed twice. That's nuts. No wonder everybody pisses on the show. Well, not everybody, but fuck, if I went and have pissed twice so far. Anyway, what's going on? So it takes a long fucking time to level. I don't know if we cut a glimpse earlier, but I think I was around here. Not quite 17 yet. So the level cap is 60 now. That Kunark expansion just opened this month. Previously it was 50. So it's gonna take, like I said, man, fucking 10 months maybe. Hopefully not that long because I've done this 3 times. This would be my... Okay, so my first character was a monk that I got to level 56, I think. And then abandoned that, completely just abandoned it. And then I played that, so okay, I played a monk with my brother, and we played monk rogue, and it was fucking fun. Man, that was fun. Because this is the first time, the first playthrough in this game is like nothing you've ever experienced. There's just such an adventure, I can't even begin to explain. I'm trying. I mean, I should just fucking spend the next hour and just run around through the world. I should log on and just have to experience it. There's no way I can show you, really. You just have to play. Give it through 2 to 3 days. You're ripping through the little newbie town. It's kind of annoying. You don't know where you're going, and then after the first day, it's like you know what you're doing, and then after the second day, you start collecting bone chips, and then on the third day, you start selling them to people, and you kind of get an eye on something you want to buy, like backpacks or something from somebody, and you find some player who's a tailor and makes you a backpack. Oh fuck, it's just such a fucking good game. Okay, what's going on here? Okay, somewhere there's one that's almost dead. Okay, he's dead. Now we get this one. So I got like full mana. And I'm chatting away. Alright. I'm gonna pay a little bit more attention in Smash. I don't think I ever did get through the stats. Stopped at agility, I think, on the second time through. Agility. Good for dodging and some shit. I can't remember exactly. I do know it's dodging. Dex is good for, again, proccing weapons. And I think it helps you skill up your melee skills faster. Dexterity. Like the 2-hand blunt that I'm trying to level up here. If I give myself a dex buff, dexterity buff, that would apparently level up faster. I've never really had an issue noticing it, like, I don't know. I've never really paid attention to leveling up skills. If you're a warrior, if you play a warrior, I would suggest even just keeping some fucking shitty, this doesn't matter if they're shitty, just keep one of every weapon type on you, like a 1-hand slash, 2-hand slash. You don't need to keep them all, but every so often you should focus on keeping all of your skills up to date if you're melee. Just because it's kind of shitty if you're level 40 and suddenly you buy a new 1-hand slash or something and you can't even fucking use it because your 1-hand slash is level 1. Or that's a poor example because everybody's 1-hand slash wouldn't be 1, but like a 1-hand blunt maybe. Ooh, 1-hand blunt. What's going on? Okay. It's gonna die fast. I'm just gonna nuke it. Well, that wasn't the smartest thing. It's gonna die so fast, it doesn't matter. Later on, these things matter. At level 16, these things don't matter. You can see that in the chat, people are talking about how they don't focus on EQ 100%. And it's because the game is so goddamn slow, you can't. And especially if you played it before. Like, I mean, realistically, I could be playing in this fucking desert all night, all day, all night, killing these fucking crocodiles for like 10 more hours. I mean, shit, how many? I've been at it for not that long, considering, but feels like we're killing a lot. Ooh, I just got clarity. No, I didn't. Did I? Yeah, I did, from this dude. This is my group. I'm just goofing. Okay, there's a came in here. I'm just gonna pull it in. We've got enough DPS here. Well, smash it down pretty quick. Once he builds up a little bit of aggro on that deep water, I'll give it a slow. Okay, I'm gonna me see if I can give these dudes the YouTube link to get the first viewers. I don't know my YouTube link. Part of going to the desktop in this game might get you booted out. The game just kind of glitches sometimes when we go back. Let's fucking find this link. Alright, so I've just put out a little bit of a plug. See if we get any viewers. Shit. Okay, so what's up with stats? Okay, so that, I'm gonna nuke that while it leaves. Okay. And we do have, we're killing this one too, so I'm gonna slow this because we're fighting this fucker. Lucy Meadows on our team. Okay, we're good. So this monk just tried to feign death and he failed twice, and when they fail it says they've fallen to the ground. My bad, call you out, Raz. Which is fine, everybody fails their first time. Anyway, he was trying to peel out, so when you feign death, you drop yourself from the hate list entirely. So that's really dope because you can just leave. So that's what he was trying to do. He was trying to leave the aggro with the paladin here, so the paladin could finish tanking, and then he could peel off and go get another monster for us to kill. So what that means is the monk is good. The monk knows what he's doing. Raz knows what's up. And so he just double pulled because he knows we have good DPS. I maybe wouldn't have pulled two of these stronger ones, but let's do it. I guess I'll slow both of them. And you know what? Watch this. I'll peel this warrior. And we're going to slow him, which he resisted, and then I'm going to root him. So that is how... Oh, he resisted my root. Or wore off right away. So this is how you root split. Oh, Jesus. Maybe not. Okay, so now it's rooted. And that was miserable. Miserably done. Anyway, the idea there was for me to slow it to get more aggro so it chases me and pull him out of the way. Then I can root him and he's out of the fight for a bit. Okay, stats. Wisdom. Nobody needs wisdom. Wisdom is for wizards? Yeah, I think. Oh shit, wisdom is for priests. I'm a wisdom caster as a shaman. um, okay, so that's his pet. I don't want to slow that, even though he just slowed it. But I do want to heal him, make sure he's all good. Okay, so wisdom is going to help increase my mana pool because I'm a wisdom caster. I think all healers are wisdom casters and all other casters are intelligence casters. So priests are wisdom. The group is chatting about finding a replacement, I think. Okay, I got full mana, so who needs... So it seems sometimes, I don't know if it's just a mental thing, but it seems like so he's charming the pet, which is dope. When you charm a monster, they do so much damage. It's really cool. Chancers are really fun. So in my opinion, personal opinion, because not everybody's gonna like Necromancer the most, but I do like a Necromancer the most. Mostly because there's a dungeon in the late game, Lake Kunar, called Howling Stones, or HS, or Charsis. It's got a couple different names. It's got some dope loot, and it's hard, and it's fucking fun as a necro, because you can solo it. You can there's a little cubby in HS South, Howling Stone South, that you can just get to. It's nice, and it's fucking so good for loot. You just make tons of money. But personally, I kind of got stuck there a little bit in P1999 Blue because the loot was so good. I couldn't really go anywhere else because it was hard to even justify getting any loot anywhere else. Not game breaking, but at that point, you've already spent so many hours in the game. You just want success. Like, it's such a fun game. Okay, let's throw this dude. It's so funny too, because the graphics are so shitty. My buddies used to come upstairs and they stayed in my basement and they used to fucking say, dude, what are you doing? This game is so shitty. How can you possibly play this? And I would just tell them, you gotta play it for 1 or 2 days and you totally understand. Couple did. Man, we had some good times, good dungeon crawls. When I have memories of vids, this is definitely the one I think of. Oh, there's a sand giant to the right. Whoops, to the right. Okay, I should probably put some buffs of some type on. So I'm encumbered because I have too much shit on me. Get myself with some strength. That thing is rooted. I'm pretty sure this looks angry. Oh. Well, our monk has to go, which is shitty, but he's bringing a bard to replace him. So, all in all, it's not a perfect trade, but it's not a terrible trade. Only because we do have a paladin here to tank. Bards can't tank. And I don't want to tank. I can't really tank this shit. I mean, slow helps, and sometimes shamans can't tank because slow is so good. but not at level 16. Now, normally I should be sitting and meditating and gaining mana back, but I haven't used any. We're not pulling because we just lost our puller. Okay, so I am gonna pull. Sometimes people are annoying in this game. Like, the paladin kind of should be pulling right now because we don't have a puller. So instead, I have to engage, and then she feels like she'll pull it off. I don't know. So I'm tanking by accident. Which is not a big deal, but we could use some deeps. Oh, there's the bard. What level is this tank? UC 16. Seems weird, I still have aggro though. Others are pretty good at peeling aggro, but she might be low on mana. Okay. Wisdom is going to increase my health pool. I gotta finish these fucking stats. Okay, intelligence is good for intelligence casters like wizards, enchanters, necromancers. Okay. Charisma, last one. Okay, so charisma is good for buying and selling shit, but that doesn't really matter. More importantly, it's good for charming monsters. So it helps with reducing their resistance to charm. So if you have charm, it's more likely to land. And as well as soothe. So soothe or harmony or any of those kind of mind buffs or mind spells on mobs where it like calms them down and lowers their aggro or aggressiveness, basically let you go past them, sneak past them, and that's where there's a charisma check on those, I believe. In fact, I know. Shit. Soon I'll have to take a break and eat. Also, this group is not really doing much. Okay, so we do have a bard now. So this bard will be pulling a monster. I don't know why he's struggling to find one, because I see one right there on the right, which is who he's going to get. Excuse me. Alright, here we go. So it's dark blue. I'm going to slow that. I'm going to pull aggro. And now we're going to hopefully give it back to the paladin. Even if we don't, we just have so much DPS now, we can just smash these. And this is the next 6 hours of my life until I can get out of the zone. So I will admit, outdoor zones are pretty boring compared to dungeon crawls. It's just very repetitive out here. And to have a full group and kill crocs is kind of boring. It's so much more fun to just have the proper duo or the proper trio, like a monk, shaman, rogue, or something to that effect. Is so much fun because that's where you get to flex your skill sets too, and you can split things correctly. And that's when the efficiencies come into play, and that's when you're actually engaged in playing the game rather than kind of like, I don't know, man, like sometimes this game has just been like a movie quest to me. You just spend all day watching movies, which is cool, and gaining experience at the same time. Okay, I need to nuke this thing, but I don't have a nuke ready. See, like the problem here is I've been full mana for like ever, so it's not super efficient. Mind you, I was not having an efficient time soloing, so this is still kind of better than that. But ideally, the best is when you can play with a buddy and you set up like an actual duo class, like a Druid Necro or Monk Shaman's the best. Monk Shaman's obviously the best. And then you can do all kinds of shit. Also, playing the strength of your class or playing the zone for your class is ideal. You'll find a lot of druids and necros running around outside because they can kite things, they can snare, or they can slow the movement speed of enemies. So then they can run around and just fucking do circles while they use damage over time spells. And it's an effective way of killing. It's relatively low risk, high reward, and solo. So solo killing, you reap 100% of the experience rather than dividing it between a bunch of people. And honestly, there's something fucked up about the division of experience when you have a hybrid in the group. I actually don't remember, and it's because I don't really want to remember. It's like a 30% penalty to experience or something for the whole group if you have a hybrid class in the group, something like that. So I think because we have a bard now, we're just getting shit experience. But it is what it is. It's a long fucking journey. Try not to obsess about those things. And it's actually a lot of fun when you actually get going. Like, these kind of groups are so non-challenging that we don't really have that much group chat and things going on. But fuck, there's a lot of coordination in some dungeons. So this mob's not even going to give us experience. What level is the bard? So he's a level 15 bard. So the problem with some pullers is it's hard to determine what to pull because a lot of things might be red. And again, a red con or red mob can be an undetermined amount of levels higher than you. So you might just pull something that just fucking tears your face off by accident because you think that you're supposed to pull reds for your group. So then what you want to do is, what he's trying to do is pull yellows ideally. But pretty much anything he can get his hands on. We got tons of mana and we're good to go. Man, I could chat fucking forever about this goddamn game. 2 hours in and I'm just been chatting the whole time. There's just so much. Like, I've been on the beach for 2 hours in this game, but again, if you were to run from one corner to the other corner, I wonder how long that would take. I'm sure somebody's done it. This game has been out for 20 years or something. 21 years. In a sense. Ooh, that's a good noise. Eventually, that becomes a fucking phenomenal noise. So I just leveled. So I'm level 17 now. What we'll see is my spell skills start to go up. Because my skills in this game are, I think, what separates you when you level. Like, leveling in Everquest is not like leveling in any other game. It's significant in EQ, and especially if you're a caster, every 4 levels, or I don't remember what it is, but every set group of levels, you get new spells. And when you get new spells, some of them are like fucking breakthrough spells, like a new heal spell. You only get from like level 1 to level 60, you only get like 5-ish heal spells, you know. Like I'm at light healing, so I probably started with minor healing, and then after light I think you do a greater healing at like level 30-ish. I don't even remember, but sweet. So I leveled, and our enchanter buddy said congrats, good form. We're gonna hide all these corpses. Okay, there was a sand giant over there at some point. I actually don't think he wanders this far. I think this is kind of a safe spot. Again, this game's been out for 21 years, so everything has a fucking name. It's really tricky if you're just learning how to play this game. It's actually, that's one of the hardest things I think about starting to learn how to play this game, is the expectations from other players is so high because we've all been playing for so fucking long. But it is a really fantastic thing when you hear somebody's a new player. Usually in a full group especially, there's a lot of slack. Everybody's really happy about that. If you're in a trio or something, or a small group, they might not be super stoked to hear you're a newbie. Just I don't know, man. Maybe it's just me, but it seems like this game gets a little bit more cutthroat the less people that are involved, because then your stakes are higher and you have more loot available to you. But the game changes. It's such a dynamic game. Like when you're in these low levels, everybody's super friendly and you just all get along. And then later on, you kind of get a little culty with your group, and then it's just the 6 of you that matter. And you know, maybe your neighboring group is all good too, and you guys kind of share mobs, and that's all good. But then later in the upper levels, you get all gilded, and then shit gets really jaded. And then once you're max level, it's quite the showdown, because oh fuck, the raid monsters. So it's a big world. There's a shit. Oh man, I'm getting all passionate about it. It's a big ass shared world, and there's only so many raid bosses, and the raid bosses take like, I think it's 7 days to respawn, like 7 fucking physical days. So what happens is you get all these fucking guilds ready every like 7 days. Everybody's ready to wreck shit, and the spawn windows can be like 40 hours or 20 hours plus or minus 16 hours. So that means if you kill it today, it's gonna respawn in 20 hours plus or minus 16 hours. So at least a day from now, and then anywhere within a 16-hour window. So you do get hardcore dudes who just literally must sit at their computer all fucking day till their eyes bleed. And shit, I'm sitting here 2 hours now, and wait for things to spawn. And I'll tell you, I've done it. I've seen things spawn, and holy shit, you just get jacked because you've been waiting and anticipating it for so long. It's pretty cool. It's a pretty cool game. Our group's just smashing. It's super easy mode. We could probably move to orcs. There's an invisible orc wall down yonder in the zone that we could move to. But let's not ruin something that's working. So these deep waters are good. Hopefully the audio is all good. I've been playing with speakers without a headset. Didn't even think about it. That would be really shitty to find out that every time I'm talking it just sounds terrible. Well, many days it will take to level. Okay. Yeah, I mean, my job's pretty easy in a full group like this, when because everybody's kind of doing their role, right? We've got a puller who's getting mobs. We've got a tank who's killing them when they come in. We've got me who's slowing them when they come in. That's kind of all I'm doing. I could do a lot more, but I'm not really. Everybody's slacking. So this is just a green. It's not really going to yield any experience, so I don't know. I'll just hit it a few times and then nuke it maybe. Kind of a waste of mana, but we're at full mana, so it's not really a waste. Ooh, somebody just looted an asp poison sack. I guess I should start. I have a bad habit of not looting because I've played this game multiple times, and it's sort of like a really, really slow trickle effect at the beginning, and then it picks up massively later on, which is a good and bad thing, because a lot of people use it as a bit of a crutch. A lot of people just plow through the game and just get levels because they played it a few times through, so they say they know where they're going. Anyway, they're not really focused on kind of the slow progression, just as fast as possible, get to the top, because then that's where the loot comes in, and it does kind of make sense. If you are watching this and if you are just starting, don't make the mistake of spending a week to get one item that you want, because it's such a waste of time. Just spend that week on experience, come back and get the item when you want it, because eventually when mobs are green to you, when you're like 6 levels higher than them or whatever, is 8 levels higher than them, they don't really attack you when you walk past them. Even though it says they're ready to attack, you can just cruise past it. So you can actually just walk through a dungeon and then, you know, and then kill the boss and get the loot, in a manner of speaking. This game is fucking fantastic because it's got pitfalls everywhere. It's got like hidden little traps that honestly are so like hard to detect that you're gonna get bitten, and that's part of what makes it fun. So for example, if you're a rogue, it's so shitty that they did this, but so cool at the same time. There's just random mobs that see through your rogue invis, and rogue invis is really good. You can cruise through fucking pretty much everywhere. If you've never played the game before, a rogue is kind of neat because you can literally sneak and hide through an entire dungeon and just learn things really easily. However, being a melee class first time around is also tough because you're dependent on gear a lot more than casters are. So if you don't have any good gear, you're not really doing that much damage. So I lost my train of thought there. I was sort of thinking about the fight that we're doing. This is right, we got some action now. Action. Okay, so I just slowed it, but it resisted, see? Okay, so there is a program. I'm sure everybody, well, I don't know. There's a program called Gina. Gina. It's a text parser. So it reads your text for you. Well, it doesn't read it for you, but it does parse through your text and it does read stuff. Hey, this thing is fucking me up. Anyway, you can, it's really difficult to use because the language it's in, the coding language, I forget what it is. Nobody uses it. Anyway, it's really fucking confusing to use, but at a basic level, you can get it set up to read your parser chat, and you can look for things like resist. You can look for the keyword resist, and then you can have Gina play a sound or a tune when it reads the word resist. You can make it more specific too. Sometimes people know that you're using Gina and they'll just type the word resist, for example, and kind of fuck with you because they'll send out your little ding. So there is a sound joint in front. We're all good, just heads up. Fuck man, I just missed that whole fight because I wasn't really paying attention. Okay, so I have absolutely no idea about what I was talking about. So let's just fucking start over. We got a rock, it's a dark blue. Slow this motherfucker. We got these enchanters, this fucking Demothos. He's good, man. He's got this dervish cutthroat, and that's what's really tearing through them. Me and this enchanter can honestly do what this six. Well, not necessarily. I shouldn't say that. I shouldn't be that brass. But ideally, that's the best way to level in this game. If you know how to play, if you know what you're doing, you set up your duos and. Oh man. Talking about Gina triggers. Oh, buddy. You're watching. That's awesome. That's hilarious. Okay, so Gina triggers. That's perfect. You can set up keywords in your text parser. I haven't done it yet because I haven't played in a long time. But they can be really helpful. And the developers or the GMs of the game say that's all good. You can have a parse reader and an overlay over EQ. But there's a lot of things that you can't use as add-ons for Project 99, such as maps. There's no in-game maps, and if you press the map button, which I think I just don't even have bound to a key, I think it actually tells you the maps are disabled. because it's so much cooler when you find landmarks. So for example, this fucking dock right here, people will tell you to come to the dock and you're like, oh shit, okay, I'll go to the dock, and you know exactly where it is. And you use your sense heading, your northeast southwest, so you know where the fuck you're going. Most zones in this game are squares. Man, I'm all over the place. I go from Gina to maps to fucking, there's just so much to talk about in this game. Anyway, most zones are squares, so you can usually find your way around by heading to a wall, north wall, and following that wall until you hit a corner, and then you're on the east wall, etc. Anyway, there's no maps, so you have to find landmarks and learn your way around. And man, I should Google how many zones there are, because I would guess there's 300, maybe not 300, I don't know, man. There's a lot of fucking zones in this game. 200? I don't know, there's a lot, and they're big, they're fucking big. Once you get into the Kunark zones, it's almost like they intentionally tried to make them way bigger, so it takes 10 minutes to run across the zone, just run across. Anyway, back to what I was talking about, Gina triggers. You can use Gina for all kinds of things. It's pretty common in the raid scene, actually, for all kinds of callouts that raid bosses will do. You can use it for all kinds of stuff. You can use it for text triggers and sound triggers. So you can have it play sounds for you when it reads a certain thing, or you can have it put text on the screen as it reads something. So if something resists, you can have an alert and a big ass text pop up and say the target resisted your spell, and recast it. One cool thing I did with Gina is I set up a timer. If you just do it /tell blah or anybody, it's going to tell you that blah is not online at this time. If you set that in Gina as a text trigger, you can set up a timer for 22 minutes or whatever. I used to use it for spawn timers in HS South when I would solo down there. It's just such an easy way to set a 22-minute countdown timer without. So what I used to do is type /note, and you can see some old school notes. Oh, I have a douche list from way back in the day. That was the thing. Anyway, I'll keep that. You have a notes window. I used to actually write times, like this monster spawned at 20 after 6, so he's gonna spawn at 42 after 6, and then I'd write it all down there. But with Gina, you can just do actually I think I made a button, and you just press /tell blah or whatever, and it starts your countdown timer. That was dope. A whole bunch of tricks you can do with Gina. It's a really great program. I'm sure there's some wizards out there that have actually figured out how to use the code language. Can't remember what the fuck the language is, but it's not easy. It's old. This game's made in 1999. I wonder when Gina came out, because it wasn't recent. That kind of, nobody uses that shit anymore. What do we got? It's this, so we've got a high-level necromancer here, which is dope, because hopefully he gives me dead man floating. And he'll come up with the Sal, which didn't take hold, which I was mentioning before. He's got a higher level of Sal on him, so mine didn't take place. Even if he doesn't give me levity, I don't get it. We're just hanging out here at the beach. The Pixel Beach. Not the beach with boobs and chicks, which is just snow and ice now, really. Okay. So I think I said all I really have to say about Gina right now. I'm sure when I set it up, it's tedious as hell, and you'll watch me get frustrated about it and see what's going on there. Okay, so I did level a while ago, 20 minutes ago maybe. That's how slow it takes to level. So I've got a half, I'm at, what is that, 5% through level 17. So it's kind of like when you're reading a book, if you don't like reading, like me, and you read like 10 pages or 15 pages or maybe even 25, and you're like, okay, that took me like have, like, I don't know, 20 minutes, 15 minutes, so there's 300 pages in this book, so I'll be done in like 4 or 5 hours. It's that kind of thing. Don't do that. Just play. Alright, for once I am low on mana because I have not really been paying attention, or because our boy was AFK. Lost a lot of DPS. I'll slow this and I'm gonna sit down. I took aggro though. Just because slow is just generates so much hate, puts you way up on that list. Okay, so that paladin took it over. Sitting also increases aggro, so it's possible if I sat right away there, I would have pissed off this crocodile. There's so many little triggers, little mechanics in this game that you get used to eventually, that really the best way to learn is just to get burnt like 100 times and then you start to notice things. But that's what makes it so fun. Actually, I was talking about that earlier with rogues. So rogue, sneak, and hide. It's fucking super fun to sneak around, learn dungeons and shit. But the developers were pretty fucking smart. I feel like they just did some things really well. So randomly, not randomly, it's very specific actually, but oh shit, buddy's almost dead. Where'd he go? Man, I think he just peeled out because he was dying so bad. And he's a bard, so he can run fast. Oh, there he is. So he is trying to kite right now because it's in his nature, which is good because he's living. But I imagine he snagged something that's hitting him too hard. He's got a crypt mummy. Okay, we can take that. Come here, bud. I'm trying to cut him off so I can heal him. He's just going to go for the zone. He doesn't have Sow. Oh, there's a sand giant, sand giant, sand giant. Okay, it's being attacked. Oh, that's going to hurt me. Okay, I don't know. I'm trying to heal him. I had a thought that I should give him Sow, but... So he's a bard. He's got Silo's acceleration. It's his singing song of speed. That was a lot of alliteration there. Anyway, he's fast. And he's running for the zone. So those monsters will chase him. I think... Oh, fuck. I zoned. Two. I didn't mean to zone. Hopefully those monsters don't go and lynch our group now. We're both going to rush back there and help them. But they'll be fine without us. They've got an enchanter who's good, and he can root split, so he can just hold things off. There's a paladin there, and I think the cleric's there as well. All we really lost is me and the bard running around. Anyway, what I was trying to say is I wasn't sure if I should heal the bard or try to give him Sow. But healing him, he was in... There's so many little mechanics in this game. So he was in what I call wounded lamb phase. If you're under like 20% health or 25% health, your movement speed starts going down a lot. And so if I would have just healed him, it would have been almost more effective as giving him Spirit Wolf. Now I'm going to hook him up with the Sow. We're going to go back together. So I knew before, because I was almost keeping up with him, that he did not have a Spirit of Wolf. Sometimes paladin or bards are, they don't care to ask, which is fine, because they're so fast on their own. But I'm always happy to help. So... Nice, still got coffee. So again, there's no maps. The only reason I really know where I'm going is because I'm keeping the water on my left shoulder. it's the beach on my left. So there's a macro I set up / hide corpse space all. It's gonna hide all of those monsters' corpses. Nerd joke. Oh, so I'm starting to get better at meditate. So in this version of Everquest, where we've gone backwards a little bit in the progression, started at the beginning, I should say, you had to actually manually meditate. You open your spellbook and then click on the skill meditate. In later versions of Everquest, I think eventually we'll get there. Maybe meditate goes away after level 35. Or manually pressing meditate is no longer required after level 35 or something like that. But your character will still use his meditate skill. Now somewhere there's a skill window. I don't remember how to bring up the option screen. There used to be a little EQ button for option. Anyway, I've got this croc slowed. I'm just kind of hanging out, regaining mana. Topo is our healer, who is out of mana. Topo, yeah, 15 clerics out of mana. So, turn to heal. We've got a Cryptomom. Okay, so what's going on here? Okay, so Lucy Meadows our tank. She's all good. Enchanter's doing his thing. So, this Crypt Mummy is hitting that. I'm gonna slow this Crypt Mummy. And I can help, actually. I've got a magic weapon. So again, Crypt Mummies are a special kind of mob or monster. They call them mobs in EQ. I'll probably eventually just start calling them mobs and forget that. I'm trying to make it relative and call them monsters. Anyway. They require magic damage, just like old school D&D. Some things just require magic damage to hit. And I have a magic staff. It says magic item. Somebody actually gave me this staff last night as I logged in and I was getting my UI all set up in the game. Somebody just fucking rolled up and asked me what I was using, and I was using a cracked staff, which is a super shitty staff. Okay, so this, I wonder if the bard is doing this. So bards have the ability, bards are like jack of all trades in this game. They've got a lot of utility, but not really a lot of punch. But they can't, like, they got little goofy things where they can charm for 15 seconds or 10 seconds or something. And actually it's pretty cool. I've seen a lot of bards pull with it pretty effectively if there's a group of two, because they'll just fight each other for 15 seconds and damage each other. And then they'll be delayed for 15 seconds while they're fighting each other, and then they'll roll into the group. So if there's not much going on in the dungeon, like not much in between you guys, it's kind of a neat thing I've seen. Oh fuck, did somebody just die? Man. Okay, I guess we're doing shit now. I should start paying attention here. Bro, live. Alright, so this is where the game gets super fun in my opinion, because shit goes down. I'm gonna... I fucked up. Live. Yes, live. Okay. So I definitely fucked up there because I thought I had a nuke on and I didn't, because I have so much shit that I'm carrying on my character right now that I keep putting on a strength buff and I keep talking so much. So I have to let them know I am low on mana, 10 mana. And we are now going to, this is called a med break, mana break. We fucking recover. That was dicey. Like 2 near deaths there. So there's a slash command, especially if you've never played. There's so much weird shit in this game because it's so old. It's called /char info, CHR info. Oops. And it tells me where you're bound. So there's a thing in this game called soul binding. By default, when you die, you respawn in your hometown, your starting city. And after level 14, okay. After level 14, I think you get Bind Affinity. Like, I have the spell right now. I could bind my soul right here as a caster. Or you can bind other people's souls to cities, I believe. I believe you're restricted to binding people in cities. And what binding your soul does is means you respawn there. So if I bound my soul right now and died, I would respawn in the same spot. You can. I've never had it happen to me, and I don't even think I've really seen it. But I have heard of people getting into like a death cycle where you've bound in a really stupid spot, or there's a really high level monster wandering around, and you end up in like a death cycle. I don't know what the fuck happens in that case. Just don't do that. That's silly. Personally, I like being bound in a town, like right now, because then you can. So right now, my character's full of shit and super overweight, but because I'm bound in a town, I can just gate. So I've got this teleport spell, gate. I can teleport to town, sell all my shit, and then when I'm light and I'm not weighed down anymore, I can rip back to wherever the fuck I came from. Also, I think the best way to kind of level in probably all MMOs is to like get all your town shit taken care of. Like in WoW, for example, get all your quests, pick up all your quests, you know, loot, get all your food and drink or whatever the fuck you need in town, then go out, hit up all your fucking quests, and then go back to town and do the turn-ins for all of them at once. It's kind of annoying in WoW when they've got the progression of the chain quests and you gotta go back over. Anyway, EQ doesn't really have, Project 99 doesn't really have quests. It does, but they're much more involved. By the time you ever do a quest in EQ, you'll most certainly be googling it on the wiki and reading a walkthrough, because the game, I was just comparing it with my buddy to Diablo 2, because Diablo 2 remake just came out, which I really want to play as well. The games are just, the older games were just so, they had so much depth, they were so diverse and unknown. Like I was saying in Diablo 2, imagine when it first came out, figuring out all the cube recipes before you could Google that shit. Like, that would have been super cool if you figured out one of those recipes and then like your posse or your group of friends or whatever know that one, you know. And there's just so much shit. Like it went deep in D2. That cube, those cube recipes are fucking like 100, more than that probably, and the rune words and shit. Like, imagine you couldn't Google that and you just figured it out, or your guild or your group figured that out. That'd be so dope. Anyway, Everquest has that same depth, that same unknown. I know that I know things that nobody else knows in EQ. I know 100%. I know not exploits, but ways to use your class to its. It's okay. The fucking coolest, one of the coolest things about EQ, I'm gonna say that sentence a lot, is that you can get a level 1 spell or a level 6 spell that really on the surface doesn't do very much, but then later on becomes one of your most valuable fucking spells. Stupid example being Necromancer Sense the Dead. So you've got a spell where it'll sense the closest undead target to you, but the catch is it works through walls. So what you can do is you can go to a wall and you can use that Sense the Dead, and it'll select the closest undead beyond the wall, beyond the door that you're looking at, and you can cast certain spells through walls. Most of the time you need line of sight in order to actually hit something, but there are certain spells such as Soothe that you don't require line of sight to use. So I have seen it done, and I haven't really done it because it might be a little time consuming to get it, but you can use a spell like Soothe through the wall. So as a Necromancer, not only can you select a monster from through the wall, but then you can actually cast a spell on them through the wall. And I think the idea is that you could cast it over and over and over 10-15 times until it actually resists. And then because it resisted, you've now entered the hate list, and it's going to come through the wall at you and try to fuck you up. And what you effectively have done is pull the monster through the wall, which in some cases, you know, maybe it's a fucking named mob or a placeholder for a named mob, and you've just figured out the right corner in the right spot that nobody else has figured out yet. It's amazing that in a game that's 21 years old, I fucking guarantee you I know a couple secrets, tricks of the trade that very few people would know. That's what's so cool about this game. The more you play, the longer you play, you just learn these like wow factors. You know, one of them that I think is pretty well known now, that I didn't know for a long time when I played, is especially useful for any caster, is the ability to instantly recycle your global cooldown, your global spell cooldown. So for example, I'm going to cast a nuke on this. Actually, I'll cast a heal on our paladin, and you'll see all the spells on the left take a good amount of seconds to kind of recharge before I can cast that again. You know, good. Oh, what the fuck? Something's hitting me. Holy shit, something's fucking me up. Okay, I'm gonna root it. It's rooted, so I'm safe. And it's pretty low health, so I'm gonna nuke it. And now it would be running away, but because it's rooted, it's still aggressive. See, now it's not rooted anymore, and it's just gonna run. I got 50 mana. I'm not really paying attention as much as I should be. Okay, gotta heal our boy. Shit, lost my train of thought. I know it was about spells and tricks of the trade. Oh yeah, the global cooldown. Okay, it's a fucking dope trick. So again, I'll cast a slow on this guy, even though it's a green, and you'll see all my spells take 3 or 4 seconds to kind of recharge. If you have an instant click, so there's a lot of items in this game that you can right click and do an instant. There's one that I used to use that drops from Kunark in somewhere around Field of Bone area, I don't know. It's an earring, and it's the shrunken goblin earring of something, and it's a right click, instant right click for Grim Aura, and which really it isn't much of anything for a caster, but the fact that it's an instant click. So what you do is you cast a spell, and then as soon as you're done casting, you can click that necklace, or the earring, sorry, and then the rest of your spells will be castable instantly. The global cooldown will only then last on the previous spell you cast. I explained that really fucking stupid. If I cast a heal, actually, Canny, it happens with Cannibalize for shamans. If I cast Canny 2, and then I use the click earring, I can immediately cast Canny 1. So what it effectively lets you do is cast way faster. So if you're a shaman, you can, instead of doing the fucking Canny dance or using Cannibalize just to switch your health into mana and then sit down and then stand up and do it again, you can actually use this right click to clean or wipe the global cooldown of all your spells, and then instantly cast a different spell. It has to be a different spell though. You can't cast the same spell over and over and over. So that's why, as a shaman, you break it up between Canny 3 or Canny 2, Canny 1 and Canny 2. So you use your Cannibalize 2, click your earring, instantly you can use Cannibalize 1, and by the time that's done casting, you're pretty much good to go on your global cooldown to use Cannibalize 2. So it's a trick that's been out forever. And when I first started, I used to see people casting so fast. I'm like, how the fuck are you doing that? Like, is that just some item he's got, or is this because of his levels? You just don't know. It's because they've got this fucking trick of the trade. They're using an instant click to wipe the global cooldown. Works for all casters, and it's fucking fantastic. It's amazing. It's a really, really good trick. You know, and as we get deeper into the game, you can definitely Google this, how to recharge items in P1999. It's not like any other game. I believe it was a bug in the original game, and they just decided to leave it. in this P1999 version. And they should leave it because it's kind of a weird ass way of doing it, and the fact that everybody knows about it, you could create a fucking recharge vendor. Okay, wait. What's going on here? Chanter's getting around. We've got a deep water too. I see. Okay. That is gonna... Oh, he got him. Okay, so our enchant... Okay, I got a root. Resisted. Oh, fuck, man. No. I think it's rooted. Okay, I'm out of mana. Wait. Okay. Shit's going down. Okay, we got this mommy. I'll be fine with this. Nice. Oh, Flynn. Shit's getting hairy. I just don't have mana. Like, I don't know what to do here. We've got a Cayman here as well, but it's not... Okay, I don't know what to do here. So we got some good DPS coming in. I think our cleric had some mana. Okay. Alright, so that's where EQ gets kind of fun. I was droning on about how we got no action, and now we got so much action, everybody's almost fucked. This is great. It's hard at low levels. In higher levels, you just have so much more ability to deal with situations, especially as a shaman, when you have the mana to slow something, and then you know you're gonna pull aggro, and then you can root it right away, and it's out of the way. You've split it off the group. Demethos is a dope enchanter, so he just probably saved the day there by mezzing that croc. I was trying to root it. I don't know if I got that root off though. I think he got his mez off just in time to save his life. That was a good fight. Straight up, man. Props to Joe Rogan for 3 hours. I'm at 2 hours and a half, 2 hours and 33 minutes. Feels longer. It's hard to, it's not hard, but it's tiring to chat to nothing. Not really. Just need coffee. Okay. Resistances are big in this game. Later on though, I don't know, my brother played a rogue. He was pretty concerned about resistances. I played a monk way back in the day, but I was so ignorant I didn't even really care about resistances. In fact, monks have a weight limit. If you carry too much weight, you lose armor class. Apparently it's pretty dramatic. I didn't actually know it the first time I played. So I was a monk who probably just fucking tanked his AC without even realizing. But a lot of monk gear is lightweight on purpose, so you can kind of put a piece of armor on. Like if fuck, I'm just going way too much in detail. But if you had sleeves that were 5 armor class, and then like some leather sleeves that were 10 armor class, you might actually get more armor class with the cloth sleeves because they're lighter. I don't know why I felt the need to go into such depth. The death loop. I like it. Alright, let's slow this croc. Oops. So you can't move and cast in this game. It can be a little bit frustrating because you can't even move a little bit. If you move even a sliver, you get interrupted, your spell casting gets interrupted, but you don't know it until you're done casting. So it's a real son of a bitch sometimes, because you'll be running, especially if you're trying to heal somebody on the fly, like you're running past them, and it's like coming to a stop sign and you don't come to a complete stop. It's kind of the same in this. You need to come to that complete stop, then cast. So you do get the hang of it eventually, you get the timing right. But man, when I first started, I was like, what the hell is going on here? Why is all my shit getting interrupted? Okay, my dog in here, what's going on? Gotta root that. I think it's slowed. So because it's rooted, it's again, the aggro is gonna go to the closest. So I'm just gonna back off a bit and let the paladin take it. Okay, so my Sal ran out. So probably nobody else has Spirit of Wolf. So again, with Gina, when you have that set up, it says you feel the Spirit of Wolf enter you. You can set that as a trigger and then set a countdown timer so you actually know how much time is on this spell. Because in this nerfed down version of Everquest, they made it more difficult. No maps, no spell durations, that kind of thing, which is actually cool. It makes the game way more fun. I remember I played years ago and they had little, they didn't take all of those little things out, so they still had little circles around the target that you had. So if I targeted the skeleton here, you'd see a little ring around its feet. And in most games you see that and you don't really think anything of it. But the more you remove of that shit, the more engaging the game becomes. Because then you actually have to recognize what your target's on, and you have to, even though it's slight, you have to notice what's blinking. And you know, earlier when I used I thought I had a nuke memorized in my spell list, but I had a buff, I had a strengthen memorized, and I ended up using the wrong spell on the mob. You know, little things like that, little details like that get ironed out pretty quick in your gameplay. Before I find that level 20-ish is kind of the skill curve that most people, not most people, but a lot of people don't necessarily make it past, because it gets significantly harder. I mean, already I've been playing for a while and I've only got 20% experience at level 17. But once you venture out, this is a pretty easygoing zone that I'm in. It's an outdoor lax zone. It's not really dangerous. Excuse me. The only real danger parts are a couple crypt mummies that walk around every once in a while. Obviously the sand giants that roam around because they're like level 40. And I think there's like an ice bone or a dry bone skelly that's around here that's like level, I don't know, 25 or I don't know, just enough to fuck up a lobby. And ghouls. The ghouls are a little bit hairy because they're kind of quick, so sometimes you don't really see them coming. And they root, which is why they're shitty, because you can be running away from them, and even though I have Spirit of Wolf, so I'm not way faster than them, but I am faster than them, they can root you. And man, it's funny when you get rooted by a mob. It's funny when the mobs do something tactful like that, like root you, and then you see how effective it is when you root them. It's like, oh my god, man, when you get rooted, you're fucked. Like, you can't do anything. It sucks. So, you know, fight ghouls when you're feeling confident, I guess. They can be a little bit hairy. So there's another concept called undercons. So you consider a mob. So this croc is blue, dark blue, which means he's like a level or 2 below me or 3 levels below me or something. He's prime target. You usually generally want to kill dark blues and whites, especially in a group. The thing is, casters specifically, healers, like enemy shamans, they're super underconned. So it might actually say that they're dark blue, but the fact that they can heal means you're basically fighting 2 of them in a manner of speaking, because they can refill their entire health bar with their mana bar, you know, and that's just if they happen to heal. Sometimes they'll nuke you and do like 76 damage, my nuke does. Well, I only have 400 life, so you know, you're getting hit all the time. And then you get nuked for fucking 30% of your life in one hit. You're like, holy fuck, man. And then he starts casting it again. Casters are a fight to be reckoned with. So especially in certain dungeons later on in the game. People start to stay away from some dungeons, like Runny Eye is a goblin dungeon. That's actually, as far as the graphics go in this game, it's a really cool dungeon. It's got a lot of cool goblins. It's got a lot of cool like little goblin art on the wall and stuff. It's hard to appreciate in 2020, but eventually you get used to the graphics in this game, like I've said. Anyway, Renia is a really cool dungeon, but it's just so fucking hard for your level because the mobs that give you decent experience also fuck you up. So what I've found is people tend to stick to outdoor zones, which is, I find, a lot less fun. Depends on your class too and your experience with the game. As a shaman, I should be able to get right up in the dungeons because shamans are so useful with the slow that they have, and they really like. I'm not gonna have the greatest gear because this is my first character going through. But a geared out shaman is just they're pretty fucking strong with slow, and if they can take a few hits. So like a shaman can usually get good groups. Like they're usually so. There's a lot of classes, so the way you can kind of look at it is certain classes are more favorable than others. The reason everybody thinks rangers are not the greatest, again, is because they are kind of watered down and kind of can do things that other classes can do even better. Like a warrior does just as much damage as a ranger, pretty much, maybe even more, to be perfectly honest. I don't know, because they have the same sort of skill sets. They both use, you know, maybe they can both use one-handed swords, and two of them they can dual wield, and they both have double attacks, so they get to do, you know, 1 hit, 2 hit, 3 hit, 4 hit, you know, so they both get to do quad hits, warriors and rangers. I think though that warriors are the only ones that can do critical hits, so you know, 1 out of every 20 swings does extra damage or whatever. Over time that kind of thing adds up. I don't know, rangers don't really appeal to me. I don't think they really appeal to most people for that reason. They're just a little bit watered down, but they're still fun. They're still fun. It's kind of one of those classes that people play on their maybe second time around when you have quite a bit of wealth and you can twink them out and you can make them effective. It's not like grouping with the ranger is gonna like be shitty. It's just that they may not be as effective as a rogue if you're looking for damage, for example. And again, the smaller groups are kind of king in this game, because if it's if it's going to take you 10 months ish as a newbie to get to level 60, you might not want to be in 6-man groups every day all the time. You know, you might learn to posse up, and you know, part of the fun of this game, I almost think of them as waves. You start playing the game at a certain time and see them grouped with all of these people. Very likely tomorrow is Sunday and we're all going to log in at similar times, and we're all going to be in a similar spot in the world, probably all going to group again tomorrow. You know, not necessarily, but over the course of a few weeks you end up grouping with a couple of the same people and you build a good rapport with people. Anyway, you go through this like wave of grouping, of leveling together, and you end up with like a friend list of, you know, 10, 15, 20 people. But it's different than any other game that I've ever played, because Everquest takes so goddamn long, such a long time to level. It's just a cool game, man. Like, I could drone on and on and on about it, but I used to joke about it being like a psychological simulator or something, because it just touches on so many like primitive, awesome things. Like the risk versus reward is fantastic in this game. The fact that when you die, you go back, like you lose progress up to 4 hours, 5 hours of like good grouping. Like imagine if I died right now, you know, it's not so severe when you're low level, but imagine if I fucking died right now. I've been streaming for almost 3 hours. I would lose almost all of that progress in late game, if not even more. Like you just get punished so hard for dying, but it makes you such a good player. You play with such care and you play with so much dedication to what you're doing. It is shitty when you want to eat though, and you want to take a piss and you like kind of don't want to leave your screen. It is a little bit obsessive at some points, but that is what makes it so fun. Is it's fucking terrifying to die, so you're so invested into it. Anyway, that factor alone makes dungeons super exciting. Um, and duos and trios, so smaller groups, more higher, way higher risk, way more reward. You get so much more experience. You're literally just, it's so much better to group in trios. Is probably the best. Like a monk, shaman, rogue. I think I've already said that before. That is like classic fucking. You got the shaman for the slow and the heals, you got the rogue for the damage, and you got the warrior, or sorry, the monk for the damage and the pulling. It's a very, very effective trio. If you've got 3 buddies and you want to get into the game and you don't know what classes to be, fucking just do that. Just do it. Don't even think about it. Just pick amongst the 3 of you those 3 classes, because I don't think you could have a better group. In my opinion, I'm sure that'll vary. Enchanters are pretty dope, right? Because they can charm mobs, and they just do so much damage. Like, I don't know. I don't want to throw out random numbers, but I think guessing that like a level 60 warrior. Oh fuck! I don't want to throw out random numbers, but mobs, I know when you charmed them, because I did necromancer, they just quad for 120 damage. Like, you're doing like 500 damage in like one fucking swing, and then you can haste the charm mobs, and it just gets ridiculous. You can do so much damage with charmed pets in this game. It's really great. So you can't go wrong with an enchanter. They do tons of damage. They're a control class. But you know, gotta give praise to tanking too, because there's something about being a warrior that's just, you get to be toe to toe with all the raid boss. You need a warrior for the raids. Like, they kind of have to tank. So if you want to tank, if you want to raid tank, definitely be a warrior. Be an ogre warrior. So if you're just starting, read about the races. It's such a long investment in leveling in this game. Like, again, if it's going to take you 8 months to get to level 60, you don't want to get there and feel like you fucked something up. Races can kind of do that. So like, there's an Ixar, the lizard man race, versus the human race for monk. They both have their advantages and disadvantages, but I think at the end of the day, when you're late game and level, Ixar is just better. It's just better. It just has way more health regen. And so my real life buddy, who's probably going to play with me later, he's got a level 40 monk, and it's a human monk, and man, I'm weary if he's going to continue playing that 40 monk because it's human, or just restart and go Ixar, because it's such a long investment, man. You don't want to get all decked out and then be like, fuck, there's no item in the game that will give me the health regen that the race of a lizard man will give me. Like, you just can't get that anywhere else. So you start, just research your race. That's the best advice I can give. You're not gonna ruin your time. It's just, Everquest is a very meta min-max type game. It just takes so long. I don't want to put so much pressure on it and saying you're gonna mess up your choice no matter what, but all races have their pros and cons. So there's no, I don't think there's any really terrible race. Even ones. Okay, some shit's going on. That's not us. I don't know what the what. It's not a big deal that this Shadowrun's killing here. It just kind of threw me off a little bit. See, it's throwing a paladin off too because the Shadow Heart. Am I supposed to be inviting something? Somebody? I'm just gonna invite this person. There's another red. Who's Shadow? Why are they red to me? Oh. 39 cleric. I don't know what the fuck she's doing. So she doesn't care about killing it. So she's just taking hits for us. That's what's happening. And I'm tripping out trying not to kill steal. Whereas the 39 cleric like just dicking around with level 10 mobs or whatever, 15 mobs. So we will take this. Somebody's nuking that. Okay, so probably people want to run fast. I don't even know who we got pulling. We got 2 enchanters, a cleric, a paladin. There's a level 17 Shadow Knight looking for a group. So I gotta eat soon. Okay. Slow the croc. I'm sure I was chatting about something I forgot about. I seem to lose my train of thought when shit gets hectic in the group, when I'm actually supposed to be paying attention. This has turned out to be more of an expose on why Everquest is awesome. I will again admit the graphics are shitty. The graphics are really awful. But you get used to it. You just get used to it. Like that skeleton looks awful. But it actually looks cool. You just totally get used to it. And I haven't done anything. Like, my adventure so far has been sitting on a beach killing crocs. Like, it's really this. There's gonna be a lot of this. It's a lame journey in the moment, but in the course of a week, it's so cool, and that's what makes it awesome. It's just like real life. Like the shit you do every day is kind of boring, but after a week of doing that same shit, you've got something really cool. It's got real progression. Like you can really feel that. Like the time you put in, you feel it come out. It's kind of scary to admit that it's so powerful for a video game, but man, it's a fun video game. I don't really want to leave. I want to leave, but I just want to eat. The game doesn't crash. So again, Everquest is kind of sketch when you go into windowed mode. Took a while to come back to life there. Do that. Oh. I'm a little late to the game on this one, so I'm just gonna drop a nuke. You don't want to nuke too early because you just get aggro, but after like 50%, it's usually pretty safe to just blast away. In a manner of speaking, not every time. Also depends who's been hitting it. I'll re-nuke. Dope. So that's help one. /TT is tell target. I didn't know about that for a long ass time. I used to do a /tell and then type out their name, but you just target them and do a /TT, and you send a tell right to your target. Fuck. Ooh, I shouldn't have clicked over there. Probably gonna crash. Made it. Okay, let's get rid of corpses. E1 looking for healer, so we don't have a healer. So I'm now the healer. Shaman heals are not great. Not really ever. I mean, so the hybrid healers or the sub healers like druid, shaman, I think that's it, are just not as effective as a cleric. Not even close. Maybe later on I'll bring up the actual spell levels, but clerics just get, so I think I get up to a point I get the same heal spells as a cleric, but 10 levels later. So when it becomes ineffective, I get it. When it's actually fucking dope, clerics get it. They just dominate heals in this game, and it's super cool later on. Like, clerics are really powerful. Cleric enchanter, if you got two friends and you're looking for a duo, I would say your options are monk shaman or cleric enchanter. Cleric enchanter is fun because the enchanter can charm monsters, and the cleric gets basically a complete heal, which heals a fuckload of damage, like health. So pretty much you just get this decked out mob, this monster that you guys buff up and then release, and it just is really a really effective duo. The only real catch is being an enchanter like that is busy. Like, if you want to be an enchanter, I would say it is probably one of the most effective classes, just all around. Excuse me. Because they can just do so much. They just have so much control and manipulation over the monsters, and they can do so much damage when they charm a monster and then give them 2 weapons and then give them haste. And really what you effectively have is an enchanter who has really great crowd control and does as much, if not more, probably more damage than a rogue who's decked out even. Like, the amount of damage that charmed monsters can do is more damage, I think, than the highest damage class in the game can do. So charmed mobs are fucking, they just dominate everything. The reason that Shaman Monk is a really cool duo is because at 60, way later in the game, and I mean, they're still an effective leveling duo, but the slow that shamans can do is just so effective. And monks are a unique class, so their primary purpose is pulling. They're good pullers. Oh, that's almost dead. So monks are really effective pullers, but they're also decent. They're okay at tanking, and they're actually pretty decent damage. So they're like they're masters of kung fu, man. They just got it all. Monks are really fun melee class, but they're busy. So monks are busy. Their job is to run around and pull mobs. And once you get into the raid scene, so I had a little bit of a hard time at the beginning because, again, this game's been out for so fucking long. It's 21 years. People have really high expectations and low, kind of have, it's unfortunate, but they kind of have low patience for ignorance, which is what a newbie is all about. You just don't know things. You don't know until you know, and now you know. Anyway, it's a little bit tricky to learn things in raids because you've got like 30 dudes fucking waiting, depending on you being the puller to go get the raid mob. And later on in the game, like when Svelius comes out, she gets pretty intense when it comes to pulling. There's some pretty hairy situations. Like, you'll die a lot and it's expected, and you'll get rezzed in the group and whatnot, but it does take a bit of skill, I think, to pull for a raid. A lot of people who play Everquest and have fond memories of it will tell you they loved pulling in a raid. Okay, we got a sand giant over here. So we gotta move. Now we gotta move. So move that pet. Move that pet. Move that pet. See, we're fucked. Whoever owns that pet is about to get fucked. And none of us can save him. As much as we all want to help, we can't. That sand giant will fucking eat us. So whoever owned that pet accidentally got aggro. They entered the hate list because that sand giant will tear apart anybody it goes near. And this is a bad situation. It's kind of a funny one, to be perfectly honest, but it's a bad one. So this is when mobs go on a tear. So because one guy got aggro with that skeleton, he's now, that was our paladin. That was our paladin's pet. Or no, wait. I don't know how our paladin got aggro. Anyway, our pally's dead. And that sand giant went over there. So these guys are hanging out on a chill island. Like, there's nothing really to kill them over there. But we almost trained a sand giant over there, which happens all the time. People are just kind of hanging out. They're not even by their computers, and a fucking big ass sand giant gets lured over to them, and just wipes everybody out. That's why I said it's kind of funny, because it is kind of funny. It's shitty because it sucks dying, but I don't know. There's some part that's like a view that's like watching a fail video, and it's like, oh, there he goes. Sucks though. Our group got fucked up. We have no tank. Oh, we do have a tank. So that sand giant though, he will come back. So we should not get too comfortable. So I want to keep my vision pointed in that direction. Okay, I gotta heal. Oh, what? Whoops. Man, I'm due to crash. That's a way. Okay, here we're back. So I am gonna need a break to eat. It's always shitty to take a break. You always feel like you're kind of letting the group down, especially after people die. It's kind of bad form to fucking take a break after people die, because they kind of want their experience back, right? They want a chance to get that back, but then often groups will split up when somebody dies because it's going to take them 15 minutes to get back here. By then I need to fucking eat. So that's the problem. I'm a healer, and without me they have none. So we can try to do a who, looking for group, nothing really. Who all shaman. Let's go 15 to 17 or 18. And there is one in Oasis, which is me. There's one in East Commons, Rackham. So just good form, looking for a replacement, but I should be facing the water because that sand giant might come back this way. Well, lost the enchanter. This is common, like it is really common. Somebody died and the group's gonna break up. So our enchanter just went link dead, which happens. I have to go soon because I need to eat. Happens. I'll be back on right away, but I don't know if I need to group with them anymore. To be honest, it's been a long time grinding to only get. I mean, I'm not disappointed with my progress. It's just, I think now that I'm level 17 and my two-hand blunt skill is a little bit better, I think I could probably start soloing some of these dark blues with a little bit of slow and some finesse. I think that. Anyway. I'm kind of just hanging out, hey? Let's kill this. It's kind of funny. People will do their job, and sometimes you just need to put a mob in front of them. So our tank doesn't want to tank if he doesn't know he's going to get healed, which is fair. Okay, so I just want to look behind me. That looks like a cleric to me. Never mind. Maybe it was coming to res. Oh, so I should definitely mention that when you die later on in the game, yes, you may lose 5 hours of progress, but that's if you don't get a res. So it's super important later on. You get a resurrection from a cleric, mostly a cleric. I think paladins at level 60 can do it, but it's not a very high percentage of your experience that gets returned. If you get a cleric to do it, you get like 96% of your experience returned, and you get teleported to your body, which is a big deal in this game. When you die, your body and your corpse and all your loot stays wherever it is that you died. Just you and your naked corpse, your naked body, go back to where your soul is bound. Which means if you die in deep dungeon, it's super fucking hard to get your body back and all your gear back because you have no gear. So you're pretty useless fighting your way there. So that's why the community comes in play. That's when you can send tells to rogues, and you can offer to pay them to actually sneak into a dungeon and drag your corpse out, which is super common. Or you can just find one that's in the zone and ask if they'll help you. It's really common. People help. I always like to try to pay people for their service. Later on in the game, once you have more experience with EQ, you can kind of... I was off, like, it's fucking... Okay, so if somebody's gonna come out of their way to res you and restore 96% of your experience and basically return 5 hours of progress to you, you should fucking give them some coin for that. Even if it's not even out of their way. They're just doing you such a solid that you should tip them. It's just fucking makes sense. Just out of being grateful. Who is Typhus? Typhus is a Shadow Knight. Fuck. Cleric 15 to 72. So I am trying to look for a healer replacement, and I've looked for clerics, I've looked for shamans, and there's none. Now I'm on to the druids, and there is only 1, 2. So, I'm gonna hook up the Shadow Knight with some Speared Wolf. Hook up the other Shadow Knight with Speared Wolf. No clerics nearby. Fuck, if it didn't take so goddamn long to travel to the other end of the world in this game, I would go to Kunark, which is a different continent. I'm on Antonica right now. It's November, so the Kunark expansion just came out, which means that whole continent is new, which means that the Lizardman class is now playable. So there's a shit ton of people that have made new characters in this last month that have started over in that other continent, which is... Oh fuck, I'm hungry now. Kunark. So that's why we can't find any healers. So Buddy says, I just don't think there's any really online. Okay, we're not really doing anything, so I'm just gonna take a break. Let's just stop it here. So we're gonna go off to the side and we're gonna say goodbye. Minute break-ish, you know, something like that. Games for the group, or it's a lot of fun. So it's always shitty kind of leaving groups when you're a healer, because often you split the group up. Same thing with a tank. They're just such critical roles, and you don't need two of them in a group. So like, it's a weird challenge sometimes. They have a hard time finding groups, and at the same time they're necessary for groups. It's weird. Anyway, I'm gonna camp out here. I'm gonna go to participant. So again, it takes 30 seconds to log out of this game, so you have to type /camp and then you get a 30-second timeout. That is difficult, man. Later on, like if you're fighting some hardcore shit, 30 seconds is like, those last 10 seconds are tough. Start to freak out a little bit. All right, cue the awesome music. EQ. I need to take a break. I probably won't be that long, but this was a pretty successful first video. I hope the audio worked out because I didn't really think about using my speakers